All right, everybody. Welcome to the Killer Main podcast series. This week we have Ghostface. This is actually the second Ghostface main we've had on. If they would like to introduce themselves.
Hi, howdy. My name is Afro. I am unfortunately the Twitter Ghostface that is very, very rampantly autistic about this killer. I have about 1,650 hours in Dead by Daylight. Not all to Ghostface, but a good portion. And I am here to yap to you today.
Did you say you only have 1,000 hours in this game?
Yes.
That is, I mean this in the nicest way possible. That is surprisingly low, considering how I see you talk about it.
Well, I've probably spent a good portion of my time also in customs, not even necessarily 1v1ing. I 1v1 sometimes for fun, but a lot of it is more just if I find something and I think it's interesting, I'll take it into customs and just lab it out.
Oh, fair enough. Do you have a fighting game background? I would assume you do, if that's the case.
I do.
Okay.
Kind of.
Kind of. How is it a kind of?
I'm very on and off with it. My special interests sort of just rotate. So I want to say the game I probably have a majority of my time in, at least that I go back to, is like a two-way tie between like Skullgirls and King of Fighters.
At least they're good ones. At least they're good ones.
I'm all about that Terry Bogard. Buster Wolf, are you okay? Fuck ass.
Yeah, I can never. You know, it's fun. I know so many people who play this game that came from like fighting games, and I don't understand what it is about fighting games. I can't get into them. I just can't. I've tried for years. Every single time, like I tried them Fighting Herds. I tried Street Fighter. I tried Smash. I tried Mortal Kombat. I just can't. I don't know what it is about fighting games. I just can't do it.
It's just very interesting because there's just so many different styles of fighting games that you really just got to find your groove into. Whereas like, Street Fighter's a lot more like footsie and Punisher type gameplay. Whereas like you have Skullgirls where that's very fast paced. If you blink you miss it type gameplay. There's something for everybody, but I think the most important thing is obviously if you want to get better at it, go for it. But I'm mostly there just to have fun. I'll pop up like Guilty Gear sometimes and just play with the boys, and I'll blink and I'll see, it's 3 hours later. Where did it go?
I don't know. I think it's because like I come from like an RTS and like tactical shooter background, so like
fair.
So like fighting games are kind of like the antithesis to a lot of that. Not to say like there's no tactics in it. It's just a lot of like the macro game in fighting games is like, how do I explain it? It's there. It's just not like you're thinking like 3 moves ahead when I like to think like 5 to 6 moves ahead, and you can't really do that in a fighting game. At least.
I mean, it really depends.
Yeah.
I mean, you really could just go unga bunga and win, but that'll only take you so far.
I don't know. It's also like when you're playing against people, and again, I'm bad too, so I can't say anything. But people have told me before. It's like you can't. Do you know the quote about the greatest swordsman's biggest fear?
No, not at all. Enlighten me.
There's a very old. It's anonymous who said it, but there's a quote that goes, "The greatest swordsman's biggest fear isn't the second greatest swordsman; it's the worst, because he has no idea what he's going to do."
Mm-hmm.
You can't macro game someone who literally doesn't know what they're doing. You can't predict their movement.
Okay, so riddle me this, Batman. How the fuck did a guy place in a tournament with a steering wheel controller, a fighting game tournament, mind you? I don't know. I think I'd be more terrified of the guy with the steering wheel.
I don't know. The same reason some dude beat Dark Souls with a pineapple. I don't know. People are weird.
I know someone did it with bananas, but a fucking pineapple?
Yeah, someone did it with a Guitar Hero controller. I've seen pineapple. Someone did it with potato. Someone did it with voice commands. I saw someone do it. Technically, it wasn't their... The way they worded it was their brain. But what they did was they had the little sensor things that doctors use. And it detected like the electrical current and just sent the commands that way.
Wasn't there like a goldfish that
Yeah, a
like beat
goldfish.
Millennia
Yeah,
on Elden Ring?
yeah, it was the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, fuck the skill issue. You got beat. You
you
got
got beat by a
dipped by a goldfish,
goldfish.
bro.
I didn't even make it to Millennia, so I'm already better. I beat Margaret, and I didn't go any farther.
I've made my goal for the day. I've made my peace with myself. Listen. You gotta pick and choose your battles. I'm not fighting this one.
I don't know what it is about Elden Ring. Because I've beaten every other Souls game. Have you played Elden Ring?
I've played it a little bit, but a lot more of my time has been spent religiously playing. Uh, unfortunately, Dark Souls 2 and Souls 3.
Well, it's funny because they actually I don't know if someone did a test on this. Pretty much like if you're newer to Dark Souls and like haven't played the other ones, Elden Ring is significantly easier.
Huh.
The reason for that the reason for that is because a lot of the bosses were specifically designed to like counter like habits from the older games.
Oh. That's fucked up.
That's just that's funny. That's why the game is so hard for like like Dark Souls vets like at first until they like figured it out.
Yes. Fuck you in particular. Anywho,
we're talking about Ghostface.
I think we should get back to Ghostface before we're stuck on Dark Souls and fighting games. I am the yapper. Do not underestimate me.
But yeah, 1,000 hours. When did you start playing?
I want to say I started in probably about, I think it had to have been 2021 or like early 2022. One of those. What? And my first killer that I picked up, unironically, so I picked up Wraith for a bit, and I went, oh, this is really fun, but everything feels really repetitive. I just kind of run them down, bing bong, and hit guy until they die. And then I found Deathslinger, which I still play today, on and off, but a lot of my time went into playing a lot of Deathslinger. So anytime I'm up against any random Caleb Slinger in my lobbies, I think, oh, right, I'm in this loop. Therefore, there's at least 3 different holes, nooks, and crannies he can fire at me from.
I was a Deathslinger main for a little bit when I first started playing the game.
Yeah, we at that time, if I'm right, they had the Deathslinger quickscope that was still in the game.
It was still there.
Then they changed it. My muscle memory was fried, but I still kept up with it. Because I'm like, where'd the game go?
Like, when they did that change, he was actually kind of torturous to play after a little bit. Like, I don't like completely comparing it to this, but I compare Chucky to Deathslinger all the time. It's very similar to the current change that happened to Chucky.
I can kind of see it, yeah.
Because it completely killed everybody's muscle memory. And everyone thought he was really bad afterwards until, like, I want to say, like, 6 months later, then people realized, no, he's fine.
Yeah. It's just, I think we had it a little too good for a little bit of a longer time. They had to bring us back down to reality.
I will say, I do think that the sound effect that plays when he's aiming at you should go away now. Because that
I always remember that he has that, but it's just ever so faint. I wish they might just. I wish they would kind of like turn it up a little bit so you can at least hear it a little bit more.
So
but
the thing is, like when he quick scoped, it made sense why that was there.
Yeah,
it made perfect sense. Now that he can't do that, I don't think it should be there.
Yeah, either amp it up or toss it entirely.
Yeah, but did you go from Deathslinger to Ghostface?
Yeah, so as I was playing a lot of Deathslinger, I picked up Ghostface just kind of on the side as well. And that kind of went up from there. It's I want to say like a 3-way tie between Deathslinger, Pig, and Ghostface. Where I was playing, I played a lot of Pig. I am absolutely fucking schnasty at Pig. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Mm-hmm. I have not seen nearly half the shit that I have done on ambushes anywhere on Twitter, but that's also probably just because a lot of pigs don't really focus on that, whereas I'm just going for style points.
Mm-hmm.
New pig ambush is crazy as hell.
I think
But it was a totally different time.
yeah.
So obviously a lot of that wasn't there that we had.
I mean, Old Dead Hard
But
still
I pick up a
existed.
little bit of Ghostface. Here.
But why, so I think the question that gets asked for everyone who mains a character though is always why? Why Ghostface?
So after playing through some of the other various stealth killers, we're just going to put big quotation
Oh no,
marks around
that
that.
question's coming up later. Don't worry, because I think you have the same thoughts on it that I do.
I'm pretty sure I actually answered this question to you once on Twitter, but
Mm-hmm.
it is quite literally the reason of Ghostface is the he is the stealth killer. That is the epitome of everything that is stealth in this game.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other killer that is as unique in contrast to Ghostface. Wraith can't do it, Pig can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
Onryo can't do it, Freddy can't do it. If you want to lump him in there, no other killer with stealth functionalities, but isn't stealth can do it. It's unique to him and him alone, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he might be perceived as weak and or generally weak, that's okay because your strength lies entirely within your strong macro and micro game.
Mm-hmm.
Having a game plan makes the killer work. If you go in and you go orangutan mode, monkey mode, you may not get as much success as you might think you can. That's where you see a lot of the Olson's Wallet fucking Spirit Fury users coming in.
He's a very methodical killer, is the way I've always described him since I started playing the game.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, and I mean, initially when I was first playing, I was just playing to be chill. I wasn't even remotely competitive, and I would argue that I'm still not super competitive, but I'm very aware of what my killer can do.
Mm-hmm.
I can always kick back and play this killer relatively stress-free with the occasional rager in between.
Mm-hmm.
And if I really wanted to lock in, I feel like I could do it.
Yeah, and it's funny because we'll get into the tier placements later, but I do think Ghostface is also a very misunderstood killer.
Yes, incredibly.
Because I mean,
down to the add-ons.
you bring this up all the time, and I bring it up too because I know it's also the case. Can you chase with Ghostface? Yes. Should you?
It's
that's the real question. Should you? And
so that is just entirely very subjective. Can you chase on Ghostface? By all means. You're the one playing the killer. You are the one who made the Subway sandwich, so do whatever you want with it. However, does that mean you should? Not really, because unlike every other killer who probably has some form of chase power or some form of setup power, this guy doesn't have that. Chase power? What? Not me, the fuck? This is you hide, you find man, you stab him, and he goes down in one shot. If he catches you, you're not catching him. Sorry.
Like I bring up the argument of like what is the definition of an M1 and M2 killer all the time, and Ghostface is probably one of the only ones where I'm like, no, he is literally an M1 killer.
Yes.
Like to the nth degree. Like I've even made the argument that technically speaking, Trapper isn't an M1 killer. Technically speaking. But there is no technicality for Ghostface.
No, it's purely based on your own setup to get things done.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the fact of you have no gap closers, you have nothing super crazy to help you catch people. It is based entirely upon how can I get from point A to point B and ambush a survivor effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And if I fuck that ambush up, how can I save it? Because I mean, if you do mess up, things can be very punishing on this killer, especially if you're versus like people who have comms or people who are wanting to basically pester you out of your power.
Mm-hmm. He's Did you ever play Team Fortress 2 at all?
I did. Religiously.
Yeah, it's.
Don't ask me about my hours.
He's similar to Spy in the sense of a lot of like the problems he has really does come down to your approach to playing him and the enemy's ability to know what to do. Because I've talked about this before with how Spy is, or not Spy, but a killer or a character that relies on deception and stealth is extremely difficult to not only make work, like from a player perspective, but to balance, because part of the thing you're balancing for is literally knowledge and knowing what to do on both sides.
You have to basically, I mean, if I were a game developer looking into Spy, I have to consider the fact of, well, I am altering a character that is based entirely upon paranoia and pressure that he just naturally creates. And that's also entirely based upon the skill of the person piloting the character. I could have a totally dog shit, like cloak and dagger spy doing absolutely nothing in my backline, stabbing the Razorback sniper and contributing nothing, versus the like dead ringer kunai spy who's just aggressively hitting my backline and I have known nothing about it until he's 3 inches in my ass.
Yeah, but even
it's as simple as that.
But even that one that's like messing up and like going for the Razorback sniper, like he's still like his existence is doing something because they have to be looking out for him.
Yeah, because they will naturally spy check other people or, I mean, look in very unconventional places to try to sniff this guy out if they even think he's there.
Exactly.
Not even confirmed at all.
It's funny too because it's a character that also like I think Ghostface kind of falls into this too where newer players kind of screw him over more than better. We talked about this a little bit with the fighting game thing too with the Greatest Swordsman. Because new players, like, for whatever reason, they're just hanging out in places like no one would. Yeah. And like you're like walking around a corner and they detect you and you're like, why the fuck were you even there?
Observing new ghost faces can be very interesting, especially when you decide to, run them down, because the game plan goes from I am sneaking around and potentially trying to find my one-on-one chase to, oh fuck, I guess I'm chasing you now. Immediately you have alleviated all the pressure that is on your team because you have this big red mark painted on your back, and he doesn't even have your mark. He doesn't even have your mark yet.
Yeah. They play him like Myers.
Yes.
Which is
unfortunately.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is like Myers, it's like you stalk, you get tier 3, now you chase.
And a lot. I wish to like clear that misconception of, well, you don't need to mark one person and then chase after that one person exclusively. You have other. Yeah, I mean, your power, in all essence, is a mind game.
Yeah.
I could mark one person and then force another person who is entirely unmarked to go for a save. If I already have them set up, I could take the free interception.
Well, they also can't, if they're marked, they can't take you out of power. So, like,
not at all, unless someone else comes to intervene.
Yeah, so another thing you can do is just mark somebody so you can go mark somebody else. On top of that, it's like, okay, they're marked. Well, if you down someone, then that marked person can't body block. That marked person has to, like, let's say you slug them. Well, now that marked person has to be paranoid, maybe get off the gen, because what if you're going for them?
Yeah, and I actually posted a clip of this yesterday of there was someone who was injured directly off of hook. I think it's actually in this VOD that we're watching right now on stream, where the Talita is running away from me. The Lar walks up to body block for her, and she's already 99, so I down her instantly. This character makes body blocks threatening because if he doesn't go for the swing, you have to immediately assume, oh fuck, I'm set up. I'm ready to go. Yeah, that's on him. If you have no resources nearby, there is no way that Ghostface should not get you.
And again, like a very methodical, because every killer. This is the thing when you're talking about this stuff, because people will say like, well, every killer has to do this or can do this, but Ghostface has a lot of like decision making, like once he downs somebody, especially because you have to decide, okay, do I leave them here and like go to try and mark somebody else, because you're very slow, and once I pick up, they know exactly where I am after the hook. Do I hook them and then like go like away like to the left and then come back from the right? Do I stay near the hook and maybe try to camp it here? Because the thing, or even like camping gens, I don't know if you do this very often with Ghostface. I tend to. I camp gens all the time with him. I'll like find a little corner that like no one's looking at next to a gen and just like restock it pretty much. And it works way more than it should. But like again, like he has a lot of and whenever people bring up like skill expression or skill ceilings and skill floors and all that stuff, Ghostface will often get brought up as like a very low skill floor killer. But that's because most of his skill floor or skill ceiling and skill floor is it's decision making.
It is entirely reliant on something that you can translate easily over into other killers.
Exactly.
But you still have to pilot him differently in the way of, oh, well, I need to go through these tiles so I don't get caught, versus I'm going to walk out in the open as if I am Huntress and lock onto the first person I see. That's not how that works.
Do you have you played Chucky at all?
I have. I like to think I found some stuff on Chucky until I looked at it and then realized it was already found. But I've labbed on him a little bit just because I think it's interesting finding the nooks, crannies, and bugs on this killer.
Well, I bring him up a lot with Ghostface because it's similar because Chucky's stealth is not that great. Again, we'll get into this later with what a stealth killer actually is, because of his 12-meter laugh. But when you're outside of that 12-meter range, a lot of times, and I try to egg people so much on this concept, and it's using line of sight blockers to your advantage, and no one does it, and it irritates the shit out of me.
Listen, Chuck spots got to work somehow, and they work often, and that's concerning.
It's not even just Chuck spots; it's just approaching a gen. Like, you can beeline it right to the gen, or you can go to the left, where a rock could cover your approach.
I have an entire off angle, and I get my stalk for free, and they still don't even know I'm there.
That translates over to, like, the Ghostface skill ceiling, I feel, with, like, the blocking of line of sight, and, again, using his power like it's supposed to be used, where you're ambushing people. And it just feels like the community kind of just... I don't know if they just don't want to accept it, or if they just don't like it. I don't know what it is about that.
My own personal idea as to why this is this way. So we have the other stealth killers in the game, which still have some chase aspects to them. Like Pig has her crouch, but she still requires the double tap to down you, and she has a reverse bear trap. But most of the time, you're chasing Wraith. He has his cloak, and he can go around to get the jump on you, but it's not outright killing you. Chucky, he has his stealth utility. However, again, you do have that 12-meter laugh, and if people are even somewhat perceptive to that, they could punish you for it. I think it's just because, since there's so much chase already mixed into the game, having this killer that is effectively anti-chase is very foreign as a concept. Because, okay, well, I'm supposed to not chase, which is the most fun part of the game. Well, I need to implement chase somehow, which loses them games, and then they drop the killer.
You brought it up a bit, so I guess we can kind of talk about it now. So I made a video on it, and I've talked about it on Twitter a bunch, what a stealth killer actually is. The reason this got brought up in the first place is because I was debunking the idea of Chucky being a stealth killer, because I still, to this day, do not think he is he's sneaky. There's a difference.
Sneaky, but not stealth.
But it brought up the question of, okay, which killers are stealth killers? And honestly speaking, Ghostface is really the only one. Wraith might. I saw some people mention Wraith, and I did myself. But the more I thought about it, Wraith doesn't even really fit the bill.
I think it's more based on the play style of the Wraith, because you do have like those very heavy chase Wraiths, which they'll use their cloak to their advantage for the speed boost. But also you do have those hit and run Wraiths that are debatable at working, depending on how well coordinated the other team is in countering that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, because like the idea of like it's hard to define why Ghostface is the only stealth killer, and it really does just come down to the fact that it's because he doesn't chase. Let me rephrase that. It's because his power isn't designed for him to chase.
Yeah, and a lot of people, to make up for that lack of chase power, will instead use a lot of chase perks.
Mm-hmm.
Play with your food has been popularized by certain people, in which then brute forces the chase aspect of it, where they will go through shroud up, expose, drop chase, stack up, and then just run it like it's normal.
Yeah, and again, it's like you can't like Pig. Like some people brought up Pig because she can go undetectable, and it's like, well, Pig doesn't really like. She can maybe catch up to you, which I doubt it in her stealth side, but she's not using it like ironically, even though it's called that. She's not really ambushing you with it. You know, like
I mean, she might get like the occasional cheeky hit, the cheeky grab, but it's not. Like, what are you spending a majority of your game doing? Are you crouching around trying to figure out what your next move is, or are you actively chasing people to get your traps set up?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it is chasing people to get your traps set up, because, well, crouching around does nothing for you in terms of pressure and value. Whereas Ghostface, you naturally, again, bringing up the spy allegory, you pressure people just by existing. The second people know that there is a Ghostface in the game, they're either going to get very aggressive in trying to spot you out, maybe putting someone on like Danny duty, or they're just going to have to deal with the fact that you could realistically be anywhere on the map. And just because someone else might be marked does not immediately mean that you are safe. They might just mark someone on a far off gen just to make you walk out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
there's so much depth to it that people don't really seem to see.
And then like again, like the other like quote stealth killers, because the thing is, a lot of people brought up, well, if they have undetectability in their kit, they're stealth killer. No, that is
no.
I don't think people realize how broad of a statement that is, because by that definition, the one I bring up all the time, Singularity is a stealth killer by that definition.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, it has really funny utility and really funny situations that you can totally use this in. Entering a biopod, being undetectable, and jumping someone, absolutely funny. But as a stealth killer, because there's that one singular capability, no.
Even
no.
And then
are we gonna get?
And then there's Sadako.
Get fucking Skull Merchant on this shit.
Or Sadako and Skull Merchant, but and Sadako, and the thing I bring up with Sadako, she has a lullaby. So the stealth is just there. Like, it doesn't even really do much.
I really wish her lullaby didn't exist, because she would be the probably like second greatest jump scare killer in the video game.
I don't know.
God.
I don't know why she has a lullaby. Legitimately, I don't understand why. I cannot think of a reason she has.
Yeah, I mean, to make up probably for her smaller terror radius.
Maybe, but why
because I know that she has I believe it's like a 28.
20, yeah. It's 8 meters off the base, so it's 24.
I remember at one point, before Pig's first rework.
Yeah, she had the same.
Yeah, she had that 28. Then they had their game philosophy get changed. So I believe it was like, what, both Hag and Pig that got changed on their series?
Don't get me started on this. Their game philosophy was, if the killer, they wanted to normalize the terror radius based on movement speed.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that doesn't exist anymore, because Onryo,
she literally broke it. There is literally a video explaining how this is like dog shit in comparison to today.
Like, give me back Pig's lower terror radius then.
Like, it won't really do a whole bunch when it does come to chase, but if you were to really just bring it back into, well, you have that smaller terror radius, and you can also bring like monitor. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from at least jumping people that way.
Oh, and Chucky broke it again.
Chucky broke it again?
Yeah, he's 110 with a 32 meter terror radius.
Oh, right, because of his dash.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think it's because of his size.
That's probably true, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's why they did it for him. But he also has add-ons that lower it, so you can get a 10-meter terror radius on Chucky.
That's true. Silk pillow.
Silk pillow and strobe light and monitor.
And if they really loved us, old furtive chase specifically.
Furtive chase.
Imagine.
For those who don't know, because it got changed like a year ago now, I think. Old furtive chase was arguably one of the worst perks in the game. It's so bad. It lowered your terror radius by 4 meters. It was per obsession hooked, right?
So per obsession hooked, the obsession then changes to the unhooker.
And then you got a stack.
Yes, and it stacked up to I believe like 3 or 4.
I think it was 4.
It was a certain amount per obsession hook,
and
it kept going.
Yeah, and it would lower your terror radius by 4 meters per stack while
like 16?
while in chase. Only while in chase.
I'm pretty sure they changed it so it wasn't while in chase.
No, they never did. Not before the rework. Like,
okay.
it was such a bad perk. Like, is there a niche use for it? Sure, probably. Like, I saw some people using it very nichely, but like, it was such an unintuitive dumb perk. Just, what were they thinking? Why would that matter? Why would your terror radius be lower?
I don't know, old game philosophy?
The one niche it had, or it had a couple, but the big niche it had was combining it with Make Your Choice, so you knew who screamed.
That's true. I used to use... unrelated, but kind of related. I used to use Make Your Choice religiously on Pig, because somehow I would make it work. when you get to learning how survivors move around the map, you're like, oh yeah, I could force a Make Your Choice right here. Just stand right there, crouch in a bush, wait for it, and fish it.
It's fine. Shoulder the Burden exists now. You don't got to run Make Your Choice anymore.
God damn it.
But going a bit back to Ghostface though, and I guess this moves on to the teachables and such. Ghostface got changed like 3 years ago now. Jeez.
Oh, years ago, yeah.
Yeah. God, yeah, that was when Legion got changed too. He did get a little bit of an update not too long ago, if I remember correctly, didn't he?
He had 2 add-ons that got adjusted, and it was called a minor update.
Okay, fair enough.
It was a good couple updates ago, but yeah, actually that was in November?
It was recently. I know it didn't really change much. I know.
Listen, only I could take this in quotes lackluster change and probably turn it into like a 10-minute video of me screaming about it, of why this is like the next coming of Jesus.
But his first change, I know a lot of people still think Ghostface is bad and needs some adjusting of some kind. Honestly, maybe I'm the weirdo. I think considering what he is, I think he's fine.
So I hold the sentiment that he holds true to his identity. No matter what you can really do to him, his identity and his power will not change at all, really. He is the de facto stealth killer, and he's going to stay that way until Dead by Daylight inevitably closes its doors, dies, and does not see the pearly whites. There's ideas floating around of how to change him, but I think he's honestly pretty good as is. I would really, realistically, only change some of his more redundant add-ons to have better utility, because there are some real stinkers in there.
Well, there's one add-on I'm going to bring up that
I'm going to kill you with a gun.
So Ghostface has a brown add-on. That many people...
I need you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
Are your doors locked?
Yes.
Okay, then. Don't worry, I'm gonna take the off angle.
Take the off angle.
I'm rapidly approaching.
So Phillies.
Listen, watch yourself.
Phillies is an add-on that increases or it decreases. It speeds up how fast you stalk by 20%, if I remember correctly.
Well, now it's 10%.
Oh, it's only 10 now.
Yes, they cut it in half.
Did they add the other half base?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the main reason why they did both this for Philly and Walleyes is because there became a point where a lot of Ghostface players felt that Philly is required to pilot the killer. By running no Philly at all, there would be a large kind of time sink in there where you're just waiting and you're stalking, and it can feel like forever, even though it really is only 4 seconds or so.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they've made it where you don't need to be as reliant upon Philly, this opens the doors for much better and cooler combos, because Ghostface has a plethora of other add-ons that are very cool that no one looks at, and it shocks me.
He's one of the most unique add-ons in the game. And it's one no one ever talks about, and one that, like, they have never done anything similar to it since.
What would that be?
Driver's license.
That's very true. I think it's absolutely crazy in the state it's in, because I feel like people don't abuse this thing harder.
Driver's license is the... Someone could correct me on this, but to the best of my knowledge... Well, no, not the amount. Driver's license is the only add-on in the game that does some form of, like, purposeful gen slowdown.
And blocking.
It's the only one.
And a heart attack at that, too. Listen, that you're getting 3 things all packaged up and bundled into one deal. That's pretty appetizing. And the fact they give you so much for it, a block and a gen regression that you can do pretty much infinitely until the gen takes no more, that's a free pop. That's... that shit's insane.
It's also...
It's as far as I know, it's not, like, current, it's flat.
Also, like, the funny thing about this add-on, too, it wasn't in his, quote, rework, whatever behavior wants to call it. The changes they did to him when they did, like, the full pass and gave him, like, a bunch of different add-ons, like the drop leg sheath and all of these other things. Driver's license, it was in there, but it didn't do what it does now. They changed it to this in the mid-chapter after that patch.
Mm-hmm.
Which was so odd. It just came out of fucking nowhere.
They were like, "Hold on, pump the brakes, back up. But we got something new for you."
Like,
what does it do? It blows shit up.
Like, it's so funny too, because that was the same time Legion got their add-on pass too, and Legion got BFFs, which it's not anymore because Dracula got one technically.
Yeah,
but it's the only, like, token-based add-on too,
which is very unique. I would like more of this.
But it makes me question, why haven't we gotten more of this?
See here. Why haven't we gotten more of this? That's an amazing question. Don't ask questions you don't need to hear the answers to.
Funny enough, the closest we've gotten of both of these kinds of concepts was Dracula. Yeah. Because Dracula has the feather, which is a token based add-on. Whenever you break a pallet, you get a token, and it I think it's max of 5, and it lowers the Hellfire cooldown. And then it's not the same thing as driver's license, but with how unique it is, it kind of is, and that's Alucard's shield.
Blow up the exit gates? Yeah.
Like, and again, this makes me question, why don't we get this on every killer?
They know what they cooked with Dracula. It's going to be a couple business months before they cook like this again, okay? I think you're asking a little too much.
It just, like, again, like, I always talk about this where I feel like killers... I like the idea of killers getting, like, add-ons that are, like, mini versions of their teachable perks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Bubba has one that's basically Franklin's. He has one that's Knockout. Wraith has a Bloodhound add-on, things like that. But like my example for this is Artist, right? Artist has Grim Embrace, and there's not a single add-on that like they could have made an add-on that was like a mini Grim Embrace for her power somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe if like someone does a gen while a crow's on them, maybe it blocks the gen or something. Like things like that. Like it's so strange that we have not gotten a single add-on other than Ghostface that does any gen regression. Mm-hmm. Okay, actually that's not true either. Legion has the other one. I forgot. They had like the ruin thing with one of the
the regression.
Yeah, on their iridescent. Okay, maybe I'll lie. But still, it's just these two. Why just these two? It's always these two. But you know, the thing with Ghostface's add-ons, because I was also guilty of running Phillies, if I'm perfectly honest. Not even because I never
How
said.
dare.
Well, it wasn't even necessarily because I felt it was needed to run. It just felt good to run.
That's fair because I mean I've definitely noticed the smoothness, and I have even created multiple videos showcasing the differences between pre and post nerf Philly with the base kit values. And I mean I can respectfully say that I do not have to ever touch this thing ever again. Not like I ever did, but I just don't have to touch it because, again, I have much better options. I can now start focusing on utility over functionality because, okay, well, I could have a faster stalk speed. That's not letting me blow gens up with my mind. While I could have a faster stalk speed, that's not letting me go through, stalk a guy, and then be able to run him down with haste.
I don't I don't know what DMV Danny goes to, but I want a driver's license that blows generators up. That sounds badass.
Dear fuck.
But you know, he also has
Blows up generator with mine.
My fucking generator.
He also has like the weird add-ons that I often I think is it the monocular? Is that the one where when you're revealed, or is that the other one? Because he has like he has a bunch of these add-ons that like one like there's one that like it does exhausted. If you mark them, they're exhausted, and then there's another one that does the same thing, but only if you're Can I show this? Can I show this?
I can't believe you let that happen.
Hang on, I'm showing this.
You really should have just kept your eyes on the off angle. I told you it was gonna happen.
Oh my fucking god, that's so stupid.
Listen, you opened it. It was a spoiler.
But yeah, he's got the two add-ons that basically, and he has like the Oblivious one, which is that's a whole other conversation on obliviousness.
Good lord, add-ons are such a complex topic when it comes to Ghostface, and me in particular, because I've looked into it way too much,
but
to probably an unhealthy degree.
But the revealing ones are kind of the ones I want to talk about because I hate these fucking add-ons.
Dog shit. Next topic.
Every time I run them, I have a clip of it somewhere. There was a Steve I was playing against, and I was like, okay, I know he has Dead Hard. This was back in the day, when Dead Hard still wasn't changed, and yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get him to reveal me so he can't Dead Hard me, and the motherfucker never revealed me. I chased him for like a minute. I was like, you know what? No, I'm committed. I'm getting value.
You're ruining my gimmick. Stop.
And then like in the in-game chat, I was like, Steve, why didn't you reveal me? And they were like, he only has 10 hours. He doesn't know what he's doing. You mean to tell me?
Oh no.
You mean to fucking tell me I didn't get value for my add-on because he didn't know?
He just looks forward. He's a look forward gamer.
It's like, what the fuck? Ever since then, I hate these add-ons to my core.
I very much also hate the God. The reveal add-ons are just a significant pain point for this killer because they take up so many fucking add-on slots. We could have something else. No, you get revealed. They're oblivious. Sorry, dude. Oh, you get revealed. Now they're exhausted for 10 seconds. My end goal is to make Oxtarva reconsider where the fuck you put Monocular over VDR, because I kid you not, I love Oxtarva, but I kid you not, this motherfucker put Monocular over VDR, and I screamed about it.
How? Why? What was the reasoning? Was there any reasoning?
Specifically just because, if I can't absolutely remember off the top of my head, but it's simply because throwing away the power to get that exhaustion for that long definitely is an upside, but it's still not strong because you're sacrificing your power for it.
Mm-hmm.
And my argument to that, which I've made an entire video on explaining why VDR is my Lord and Savior. I've cultivated a church around it. That is exhaustion on demand whenever you want at all times.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that some people will try to play the game as if they have their exhaustion, they either have to pre-run it because they know it's coming and get potentially arguably lesser distance, or they might just try to hit their sprint burst while they're exhausted after VDR and then wonder, yeah, why am I not sprint bursting? Why am I not hitting my balanced landing? This happens more often than you think in pub matches. It's fucking crazy. And it shocks me that no one uses this thing more, because the number one counter to this killer, aside from running at him and revealing him forcibly, is exhaustions, because he's got no gap closer. He's meant to ambush you. If you have an item that is literally contributing to the core identity of the character, letting you ambush, especially on people who have such strong fucking perks, sprint burst, life, dead hard, ignore all of it. Just fuck it, we ball. Eat shit. I don't give a shit about what you have for your balance landing. I'm gonna smack you on the ass. I'm gonna take mine down and put you on the hook. Simple as. I'm not gonna be able to do this with Monocular.
Well, and while you were doing like talking about it, I was actually thinking of an add-on they could give him that it's very. Do you know Vanishing Box on Unknown?
Yes. Specifically, when you do the gen, you get so much of a mark, or you get one full mark.
You get a full mark, but for Ghostface, yeah. I could imagine them adding one where it's like, if you're on a gen, like when it's completed, or you complete a gen or whatever, you get like, I don't know, 50% mark progress. I don't think that
maybe, but I feel like they would have. I don't really like the idea of that on Ghostface, because I feel like that would take away from a lot of the macro of I need to get my mark set up versus very quick and easy execution of they do a gen and they're already at 99 because it's soft capped.
Right.
But while very cool, I still feel like we still have to include the setup of the killer, because doing that would unnecessarily make chases very, I mean, not even necessarily chases, just ambush is very imbalanced, because all he's got to do is walk up to you, click his power button once for not even a fraction of a second, then you're marked. What if he's got drop leg? Runs you down, you're dead.
Well, that's why I made it 50%, and why I feel like it would just be a playstyle change. It would be a choice, right? You bring that add-on in.
I feel like there would have to be a significant downside to that add-on for it to be functional. If it were just flat out like it adds this much stock per gen done.
Well, you would have to be on the gen.
I mean, that's true, and that can affect however many people's on the gen if they're like, especially stacking. I still think that.
I don't know. It was just a random thought I had.
Yeah.
I mean, are there any like dream add-ons you have for Ghostface? Something you would really want to see?
I would love for a lot more information. Specifically, just us reworking the on reveal and rushed action Add-ons in particular, specifically because there's a lot of very little use that we see out of any of those. Like a couple of years ago, people used chewed pen. Nowadays, I can name one person off the top of my head, and they use it simply for the aesthetic.
I am surprised we don't have add-ons on him that change the killer instinct to auras.
I personally want anything that has to do with generators, maybe not even auras in general. Maybe it's just like a location reveal, sort of like Rancor. Something to basically help push the macro micro gameplay of this killer, because a lot of it you have to make up for with perks that you can get. Like, I run Discordance, and I may run some other info perk with it, but typically Discordance is the one that I'm running the most.
What if
I will pick the gens out that I want, that I'm going to basically sell to them for free, and then gather my stock up and get my good stock spots through all the generators I left behind. But I need info perks to like triangulate where the fuck people are at.
hear me, this might be a weird one. What if there was one similar to Pig? She has one where if they have a cage or a bear trap on them, if they're doing a gen, the gen lights up yellow. What if we had
that
one?
Might be interesting. I think I had some very rough idea for
Like,
a lot of like add-on reworks some time ago.
Like, I could see one that was like, if they're fully marked in on a gen, the gen lights up yellow. Because that could also lead to some interesting gameplay with that one too. Because it's like you mark someone and just kind of leave them, just so that they can get info sometimes, and like then sneak up on them later when they're in a better position and not expecting you to come out of nowhere.
Maybe. I wonder if I can find my little lame picture I made some time ago.
And then there's my favorite add-on on him, which is outdoor security camera.
That's entirely fair.
Okay, now, to be fair, people who see me play Ghostface know what I run with this. And I'm a terrible human being for it, but I don't care. I run it with knockout.
Wow, me too.
It's such a good I will die on the hill. Ghostface is the best knockout user in the game with outdoor security camera. Even without it, maybe, but with it especially.
There was such a point in time of me playing Ghostface when we were in like a semi-rough slugging meta. I was using knockout not simply even just for the slugging, simply just because it was fun. Because there's something magical about downing some enemy gamer. They have to unfortunately struggle through knockout. But the fact that no one else knows where I'm at yet, ooh.
Yeah, and not even just that. I've said this so many times before. One of the things with slugging and knockout in particular is it's the momentum you keep. You just keep going.
If you have more setup, there's nothing stopping you from just going out and finding other people if you know where they're at.
Exactly, and that's the thing with outdoor security camera. It tells you where everyone's at.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't know where you or the person you just downed is.
Yeah.
And that's sorry, go on.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. I've seen some really fucking schnasty plays with outdoor security camera. I think the number one that is like solidified in my brain was a buddy who also unintentionally helped me get into Ghostface, Cotsworst. Mm-hmm. I have watched this motherfucker. There is an old stream highlight floating around somewhere where this bastard has the outdoor security camera. Everybody's 99, and you just see 1, 2, 3, 4, span of a minute, they're all gone.
I think outdoor security camera. I'm number 3 or number 13 on the leaderboard for fastest Ghostface 4K because of outdoor security camera.
Listen, there's some really fucking impressive things that can happen if a Ghostface has any kind of information at all. Like, This is why I want him to give him more information or like stealth utility, because if he can embrace that, moreover his dog shit reveal and chase add-ons, oh man, I would Dead by Daylight would be my full-time job.
Getting a bit off the add-ons though, are there any changes to his base kit you would make in particular?
Not particular. I would say honestly, I just need bug fixes. If anything, I might change potentially the detection of how he gets detected right now, because there are, if I'm right, it's latency based. Take that with a grain of salt because I'm not absolutely sure, but there are some times where you might be doing your thing and you actually get revealed behind a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also very noticeable versus bots because they have no ping, and therefore their tracking of you, even if they pick up like a scent of you, is flawless.
Mm-hmm.
They can see you through windows, they could see you through some walls. Even if you're undetectable, they could spot you out. I made a very long thread about how fucked bots are. So if there's ever like a bot in my game, I get a mild headache.
I fucking hate bots.
Listen, they do way too much, and anytime I go through and I look at like a bug like a bug fix or like a PTB, and they're like, oh yeah, bug fixes are out. They buffed bots again, just like indirectly.
Like,
there was literally a line in the last PTB said as a bug fix, and it is now saying that both survivor and killer bots do not temporarily hesitate anymore. They just book it.
Yeah,
it's fucking real.
I mean, I play a killer who's like based around mind gaming you with his short size. I can't do that against a bot.
You can't mind game a robot.
So like, and I'll do it out of habit. I'll be like chasing a bot, and then I'll realize halfway through the chase, oh, it's a bot.
Yeah. So if I'm like going up against one of these, I have to effectively force them to like triple vault a window, block, and then down.
Yep.
Because in no standard M1 chase, if they have a tile, I'm probably not going to catch them because I don't have a gap closer.
You don't have a gap closer. You can't. Yeah.
If you want a reality check, try to chase a bot specifically as Ghostface at any kind of tile, and you'll realize very quickly if they don't hesitate, they will see your ass through the walls, even when you double back.
It's really funny to me too, because it's like there's always the arguments of like survivors can't do anything against certain killers, and it's like, well, I just watched a bot run me for 5 gens, so I think like, don't get me wrong, obviously the bot's not making a mistake, but if you didn't make any mistakes, you could.
Mm-hmm.
It's
bots are 50-50 machines.
It's infuriating to go against a bot,
especially if you play certain killers that get fucked on more or less by bots. Like I know Deathslinger had a pretty bad for a while.
Most Deathslingers I've talked to said that they've learned the bot logic and actually can aim where they're going to dodge.
Interesting.
But you can't do that.
Me personally, like that's like a half the time kind of thing. Bots just infuriate the fuck out of me.
But I mean, other than like bug fixes, and obviously, I mean, I think we all want that fix for everything in the game. But other than that, there's no other like actual changes to the base kit you would make.
No, not really. I've got my add-on changes of just changing the reveal and rushed add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
That, and like I said, that detection, but past that, nothing really much. Oh shit, we're getting graded.
Yeah. You can keep talking here.
Anywho.
Hello, gamers. Welcome to the Fake Minute stream. You're being joined today by Afro, the Ghostface yapper. I'm in your walls.
Anyways.
Thank you, Afro. Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah, I think the only other thing I need changed, chase bug. Chase bug. Are you aware of the Ghostface chase bug?
No.
So what I may do is I may spot you a very quick video, just so this makes a little bit more sense as I clarify on it. But basically what happens is Ghostface can be crouching and stalking, If you are pressing M2 and you are stalking, and there's a survivor running near your position within the chase range, you can't start chase. But if you move forward while in that area, it starts the chase. So it gives your position away instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And most times it's on accident. Because let's say you want to reposition over to like look at someone a little bit better, and then someone runs by, that instantly starts chase, and they know, oh, it's Ghostface, and then you have to formulate a new game plan based around the bug that just happened.
That sounds like
it's
it sounds like
pretty
Dead by Daylight.
gross. There's a very poor example of this, but in this one, I don't even see the Ada at all. Somehow this activates the chase, and she's looking for me. She can't even see me at all. And this gaslights her into basically just running into my arms. And if you listen to the music, it starts right there. She's downstairs. A split second, and we're in chase. Like, this shit's fucked up, man.
The chase is this is like people have told me to try running play with your food on Chucky, and I tried it so many times, but like the game cannot tell when you're not in chase at the time. I swear it's undetectable killers that like screw it up for some reason.
So I know that there are the Spirit Fury enduring abusers on Ghostface, and sure, that'll get some bang for their buck here and there, but man, I really wish Play With Your Food gamers would just, stop. Because at this point, we're not even playing the same killer anymore, dog. You're just marking someone and running at them in a tile. We're not even ambushing. We're just stabbing people for fun.
That's what people want. That's what the gamers want, Afro.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm not the gamers. I'm your fucking mother, and I'm banging on the door. Go to the bathroom. Take a shit. You smell.
You sound like me in hero shooters, and I'm like, yeah, I don't mind heal botting. I find heal botting fun. Everyone's like, they can't make a character that's only heal botting. It's not fun. It's like I think it's fun. Fuck you.
Like, maybe that's just my extreme stealth bias, because I very much enjoy the stealth aspect of this killer. And again, you can do what you want. It's your game. It's your killer. You play how you want to play. But I still do think that stealth is probably the best way to go about it, with some chase baked in.
Mm-hmm.
And I say chase baked in as like, oh, well, you maybe want to get rid of some map resources. And so depending on who you're running, maybe you can mind game them into just throwing out constant pallets, and then you make up for that deficit later for the fact that they've just wiped out half the map.
So, moving on a bit to other changes, this is something no one really talks about. And we did mention furtive earlier, so I think our thoughts on that are actually pretty clear. But Ghostface is teachables. I can't even.
Those are interesting.
I am not even going to lie to you. I don't know. I'm all ears, furtive, and what's his last one? I don't know.
Tremors.
Tremors. Oh.
I unironically love Tremors for the small amount of benefit that it gives you. It is just Grim Embrace light on that cooldown.
It's uncounterable barbecue. That's the way I look at it.
Well, it sort of is. I say that because the block does not last long. It's only 14 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all of the time from when you pick your survivor up to hooking them and looking over somewhere. Maybe you downed them near a hook. But I mean, there's nothing stopping you from, hey, if it's in play, I'm going to let this go, let it run its course, and then he's not going to think we're here.
Right. I think here's my idea to change Tremors. And it needs one change, and I think it would be fine. Do you know how Starstruck's cooldown works?
It's, if I'm correct, based on... I can't super remember, but if I'm right, it was just range-based.
Well, so the thing with Starstruck is, let's say it's on cooldown and you're carrying a survivor. If it goes off cooldown during the carry, it activates still.
Yeah.
Tremors needs that. That is the one change it needs. It wouldn't make it super good. It wouldn't make it like some S tier perk, but I think that alone would help it like find more of a niche in some people's builds.
That and like a slightly lower cooldown, maybe not 60 seconds or wherever it's at right now, but just enough for it's like, hey, I can use this and get some free info. It won't tell me where people are directly, but if I see a generator that's red on my screen and not white, I know where I'm going.
Exactly. Yeah, it gives you a general idea, which it is kind of nice.
Any info perks like this is very nice. Plus the fact that the blocking is just very neat. I enjoy that aspect because again, it provides some semblance of counterplay into this perk directly, and it's not really range based. It's are they doing the objective?
It's also, and like I said earlier, unlike barbecue and chili, where distortion can counter it, or being close can counter it. There's no counter to thrilling.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could maybe like hop off the gen if you know he has it. But like,
but typically, most times out of 10 in the early game, you probably won't know he has tremors unless you're actively off like a generator that's next to you. Because if you're just doing a survivor's thing, repairing a generator, I've got no clue he's got tremors until he walks over and kisses me on my lips.
And even then, you don't know unless like there happens to be a generator next to you. You saw also get blocked.
Yeah, that you're getting like carried by or something. It's very subjective, but I think it's a neat.
Yeah, and then moving on to I'm All Ears, which is honestly a really contentious perk. A lot of people hate this perk so much.
Well, I mean, it's really based on a lot of the killers that people run it on. Like that's called training wheels for Pyramid Head.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the main reason why I like it. I love it on Chucky. I don't care what anyone says. It's really funny on Chucky.
Absolutely, because you can plan your slice and dices ahead of time, especially after they rush. You can't get mind game because it's rat poison after the rush.
The funny thing with it though is that it was never a bad perk per se, but they were afraid to buff it because, and they never said this directly, but we all knew why they were afraid to buff it. We all knew why. It's because Nurse existed.
Yeah.
And they finally
Nurse
buffed
existed.
it though. They finally buffed it though, and I think it's a pretty okay perk now.
Nurse exists, and they were like, you know what? Fuck all 3 people in particular. We're buffing Predator. Have fun. Okay.
Like
Hello, Falara.
like it, not only did Nurse exist, exposed Nurse existed because that was when she could still M1 you.
Yeah.
Like again, like I think the I'm All Ears change was a good one. I think it's a decent perk now that can help killers that can utilize it. While I do agree it is like kind of training wheels, particularly on Pinhead or Pyramid Head. I think something like that is always going to exist. I still run it on Pyramid Head when I just don't want to think, if I'm perfectly honest.
That's fair. Eventually, I took it off just because I got really, really painfully into Pyramid Head at one point, probably for like at least 2 months. And I was hitting flick after flick after flick. Wow, this is very impressive considering the fact that I'm running off of pure juice and not I'm All Ears.
But yeah, I mean, it's also decently good on like M1 killers too, because if they vault it, you'd be surprised how many times people stay in the loop after a vault.
Yeah, I don't trust pretty much any kind of Pyramid Head after I like pull any kind of vault. I don't know where that's gonna go, and plus there's brand new Zanshin too. So me staying near a pallet unless it's just a 50-50, I'm not risking that. I'm sorry.
And then the last perk, which is probably the one that got the most glow up, which we talked about earlier, which is Furtive Chase.
Very interesting one.
This perk went from, I wouldn't even say arguably, I think it was legitimately one of the worst perks in the game.
It was truly one of them.
Yeah, it wasn't even bad. It just literally did nothing. Like, that's the sad thing. It's like Beast of Prey is just bad, right? It's just a terrible perk. But like Furtive, like, it wasn't even bad. It was just like, what are you doing with this? But the change they did to it, where when you hook the obsession, you get the undetectability and haste. I like this for a lot of reasons. One, it makes it actually usable. Two, it encourages you to not tunnel people out because you want to keep going for the obsession since they swap.
Yeah, you want to spread your hooks.
Mm-hmm. And three, it ties into Ghostface.
It does work interestingly well on him nowadays, especially with how, like, let's say if you have Walleye's matchbook, there is nothing. If you get a furtive off, there is nothing stopping you from just walking around normally while you're in your undetectable, because you don't need to use shroud. You don't need to get spotted out by someone. You just walk around and do your thing. When your undetectable's up, you just pop it and go amongst your day.
Well,
and haste too at that. It's not a lot of haste, but it can get you places pretty quick.
And I just,
rather than your immobility.
And I just mean in the sense, like, it makes any killer kind of become Ghostface for a little bit after a hook. That's what I mean by it, right? Like, you hook the obsession, and now you're undetectable and a little bit faster. So, like, you can do an ambush.
Me about to scream very loudly at the very fast blight running in my direction.
That you didn't hear coming.
He's undetectable.
All you heard was, ah! Maybe Chucky is blight. Maybe I'm just misconstruing. Maybe they are the same killer.
Blight with a couple extra steps.
Oh my god.
A little bit longer cooldown.
But yeah, like I think Furtive's in a good spot. I think I'm All Ears is in a good spot. I think Thrilling just needs that one little change, and I think it's fine. And again, Furtive Ghostface has an add-on that's basically like a mini Thrilling Tremors. Driver's license.
But only on that gen spot.
Yeah, but it's on the gen. It actually works well with Thrilling Tremors.
Yes. And encourages you to, again, use your power in a way that is set for ambushing. I think this is one of the favorite things about some of my favorite purple add-ons for him. They enhance the fact that, and they embrace the fact that, yes, you are a stealth killer and you want to go jump the fuck out of something.
We didn't even talk about
these purple add-ons. Not you, Monocular. Go wild. Monocular is the only exception.
We didn't
but
even really...
everything else, victims detailed routine. You mark someone, they become exhausted. That's great. They can't run away. Then you also have drop leg. They really can't run away now.
Yeah, we didn't even really talk about drop leg, but it's like that add-on is so fucking good.
There was at one point where I was using a lot of drop leg, and I figured, well, I think it's time for me to get into something like VDR, and this was before I was super enlightened. I dropped it, I picked up VDR, and I had the biggest ego death imaginable for about 3 days.
I've heard...
Because everything felt awful, but that's just because my muscle memory is so baked in the idea of, well, I stalk someone and then I can very quickly run them down, and that haste lasts for a long time. That's 10 seconds.
Like, the thing is, I've heard some people say that the change they did to Singularity, where they made Soma's base kit, at least partially, I've heard some say that Ghostface should probably have that with drop leg. I don't fully agree with that one, but I can see the argument, though.
I can see the argument, and there are actually a few popular content creators that feel that way. I always go against the grain of this and say no, simply just because we are turning to that. Basically, the question I'm going to ask is, how will the player base of Ghostface use the base kitted drop leg? Will they use this to ambush, or will they use this preferably to stick with the chase style they're already accustomed to on every other killer, where they mark someone and then they brute force it? This is going to make... basically, Ghostface's skill would then be put into a slump because of that change alone.
Mm.
Because a lot of new people are going to be like, well, what you do is you stalk the guy, you get a speed boost, and then you go get him. Versus, well, you could stalk a guy and then go wander off somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Or do anything remotely different that isn't chasing a guy for 45 seconds.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I again, though, I do understand the argument that some people have for it. I think like if it was like a small enough speed boost, just enough to like maybe encourage people to do the more ambushy style, but not so much that it's actually super good in chase unless you bring the add-on to like maybe increase it more.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I've discussed this internally with a couple of other very good Ghostface players, and a lot of our ideas are effectively the opposite of not giving base kit drop leg to a degree, but giving base kit victims detailed routine, simply because as soon as you approach like a certain like skill level of survivor, victims detailed routine becomes effectively a requirement
Mm.
to be able to win a game, because there's going to be exhaustions upon exhaustions. You've got background players, you've got sprint bursts, and listen, you don't know it, but maybe cooking that one sprint burst might actually lead you to winning a game. One sprint burst might be the difference of you losing.
Right.
If you can prevent that entirely while also still contributing to the identity of the killer, which is stealth entirely, where he's anti-chase, that's fantastic. It wouldn't even have to be that long of an exhaustion. It's just like straight up like 1 to 1.5. That's all you need.
Would that be that would be the only killer in the game who has exhaustion base kit, though, wouldn't it?
I believe so, yes. But I do think that makes sense. It's a little bit of a reach, but I think this is one of the cases where, due to the killer's strength, this would in turn make people adapt to the fact that, hey, I get a small bit of exhaustion when I mark someone. How do I best use that? Do I chase them down? Well, no, they're going to walk and chase. Do I ambush them so I get the jump on them and they can't jump the gun and run away from me? Yes. That's how I'd push him in a right direction, while also providing a very small change that, hey, listen, if you walk versus him for that 1.5 seconds, I mean, that's not stopping you from 99ing a sprint burst and punishing him even harder.
Yeah, and it's not like the idea of killers having like status effects is unheard of, right?
Yeah, we have Skull Merchant. She gets like 17.
So like I could see it, and I think it would be unique. I mean, Twins invented a status effect.
Yeah, incapacitated?
Yeah, incapacitated. And then they added it to a perk later and then got rid of it.
Yeah, because they thought that was not a great idea, and it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, it was fine until the other 3 perks got buffed too.
That's also true. Horrific combo perk.
But I think that this segues nicely into builds. I know you haven't been playing the game much for like the last 3 months or so, right?
3 months or so, yeah. It's been an interesting ride. Actually, probably about 2 months.
But what builds do you typically run? In the background footage, I'm assuming you're playing Chaos Shuffle.
Chaos Shuffle, hell yeah.
I only say that because you're running Undone.
I just wanted to kick back and clock into Dead by Daylight, get my games, record them, and go. But typically, I will use probably. I just kind of half it out. I use probably 2 info perks. Discordance is the requirement, and some gen regression, and then some wild card pick that I just kind of I free up for myself. So if I wanted to use double gen regression, double information, or triple of one and one of the other, I give myself that kind of freedom, because I want my gameplay to be based more on how quick can I find people, how quick can I get them stalked, and how quick can I get them on a hook.
Right. The thing about Ghostface 2 is Ghostface being like one of the only pure M1 killers in the game can make use out of pretty much every perk in the game. He's very malleable, which I think is always nice.
Pretty much, but again, there are definitely some perks you may want to avoid, because it would in turn actually force a brute force or like chase style of gameplay. I'm looking at play with your food and Fury users, particularly.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we can sit here and tell people like it's a bad idea to run them. The thing is, he can run them.
Yes.
Right. That's my point with it. He's a very malleable killer in that sense. Like, you're not going to run Spirit, Fury, Enduring on Huntress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you can, but like, it's not really going to do anything.
Yeah, and plus, some of that stuff actually plays into his kit relatively well, whereas if I'm a play with your food user on Ghostface, I get my 3 stacks, I stalk you, and you have to find a resource very quickly, or I'm getting that exposed down.
Right.
Or if I'm playing with End Fury, I could mark you, take a pallet stun, and then at that point, I've just forced you to lose a 50-50 you didn't even know you were playing.
Right.
Because if you pre-drop, you would have won. If you drop in my face, you lose because, well, at that point, you're having to deal with the fact that there is a broken pallet in front of you. I'm recovering very fast, and you either have to dumb tech me and hope I fall for it, or somehow dodge.
Yeah, and then there's like perks like Coup, and like it might sound dumb to some, but even exposed at perks, I know like Devour Hope is very popular on him for a reason.
Yes.
Well, there's a couple reasons why Devour is popular on him. The other is he has arguably the best Mori in the game.
Yes.
Which I don't even think it's debate. Well, I mean, maybe recently. I mean, Draco's is pretty good. Xenomorph's is good. Chucky's is amazing. I love Chucky's.
I think like the next like contender for probably one of the best Moris in the game. Of course, we've got Dracula, and that's pretty tight. Deathslingers is pretty good, but I think like my second favorite in the game is probably Knight, honestly.
Oh yeah, Knights is really good too. I thought you were gonna say Skull Merchant as a joke. I was like, don't.
No. I woke up and I said 4 big guys.
Pixie heard you. She's losing her mind right now.
Yeah, I hope.
But I mean that sounds about right. Like Ghostface doesn't like, even though he is an M1 killer, if you're playing him correctly, you don't need force slowdown on him necessarily. I feel. Just because if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you should be getting downs relatively quickly once everything's set up.
Yeah, especially if you can. A lot of the plan with Ghostface, at least in the early game, you want to get into the 3v1 because your win condition is based on how much mindfuckery you can commit, and your mindfuckery is tapped to the maximum when you have 3 people in the game, because if I hook someone, I'm forcing one of the 2 remaining people to go find it, and what if I mark one of those people? Well, now I'm forcing either them into a very uncomfortable situation, and they have to win the 50-50 of am I nearby or am I gone?
Right.
And then maybe force the other person off like a generator. They're not doing objectives anymore. There's some very, very, very cool stuff that you can pull off with just the mark alone, because, if I'm marked, I'm in danger immediately and I have to be on my toes. Or I could be eyeballing Steve from right across the way, and I might think he's looking pretty voluptuous today. I don't know.
And the next topic is a bit of a arbitrary one. And again, this is going to be interesting considering you've been taking a break from the game. What are your thoughts on the state of the game at the current moment?
Oh boy.
Now, this is the game as a whole, not just Survivor, not just Killer, not just Ghost. The game as a whole.
Okay.
Go on.
I need to put this in a very a concise manner. So you know how Houndmaster dropped?
Mm-hmm.
Dog water.
Right.
Pun intended. Anyways. It's been a very interesting last 2 months, because I'll explain how my break has sort of gone. I played up until about early November. I believe it was like November 3rd, something like that. And the PTV was coming out. thought, hey, that's pretty cool. I'll wait for the PTB and see what it's like, but I'm gonna go play some different games in the downtime. Because I will just take the casual hiatus off the video game. Because
Right.
there are times where Dead by Daylight, I get a little too into it, and I get very pissed. So I go do that. Houndmaster gets released in the most bug-ridden state ever, probably unfinished. And then there was the Band-Aid fix that came afterward, as well as some very, very crazy survivor perks. Shoulder the Burden specifically, which is a much bigger fuck you to attempting to get into the 3v1, as well as a lot of your lower tier M1 killers. It's just a blessing that no one knows how to use it outside of like people who know what they're doing with it. But if you run into people who know what they're doing with it, that's where your head starts to hurt really, really bad.
I don't. You know, I was talking to. Do you know Dr. Emerald?
I believe I do. Yes.
So I was talking to them about it, and I don't think shoulder burden is that big of a deal. I do think it could use something to make it more manageable, but I honestly think it's fine.
I think it's interesting, given that you can only pop it once per game, but if you have a team that knows what they're doing, of course, that's going to be a problem.
I mean, I've gone against teams that are a team I can think of off the top of the head that did. All four of them were running it. They knew exactly what they were doing with it. I couldn't get anybody out of that match. I actually got an exposed hit on one of them. It was really funny. I was playing Chucky. I don't know how it happened, I think Shoulder the Burden does need some adjustments, but I also think that, like, as a concept, it's fine. If that makes any sense.
As a concept, it's debatable. I won't really say it's good. I think I just hold that same sentiment that Otz initially came up with, where it's, well, he had an idea for a burden system where it's just if you're hardcore tunneling a gamer out without any breaks or stops, that's fair. But I think the downside for what it is still too little, because that's okay. You have that person exposed for so long, but they might just, I mean, they don't really lose anything for it. They just get back on an objective.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I think, like, my biggest issue with it is that it has no, like, real conditions.
No, it's you just use it and it wins.
Yeah, like, I could see them maybe making it so you had to do a certain amount of gen progress to get a stack to use it, or you have to be in chaser a certain amount of time, because
a certain amount of, like, hook saves or something.
Like, honestly, because I've been using it in my solo queue games, and I am I usually do the gen jockey thing, which, like, you're supposed to do. But in a lot of my matches, I'll end up not getting found by the killer. Not that I'm not going out of my way, like, to be chased. But, you know, every now and again, you'll have those matches where, and I know everyone complains about being tunneled, but don't act like you don't have those matches where the killer doesn't even find you, all right? Don't act like that doesn't happen. Anyways.
It's inevitable. He will.
Anyways, you know, sometimes I'll have those matches, and it's like I try to take aggro over someone, and it doesn't work. The killer's just having none of it. So I bring Shoulder the Burden sometimes because in matches like that, in my solo queue games, I can actually kind of get value out of it. And I think it's how the devs and this is the thing with a lot of this, I think it's how they intended it to be used. But that kind of does get thrown out the window with the 4-man Swift. And, you know, that leads into a bigger question of,
what are we balancing the game through? Are we balancing it through the Swift, or are we balancing it through the pub matches? It becomes very convoluted very quickly.
Yeah,
and it's been debated online very badly as to what the plan for that should be.
And the thing is, like, I do think it should be considered, right? I do think 4-man should be considered in the balance debate. Obviously, they should, because they exist. But most matches aren't that. And the other thing with it is, you know, and I might sound like a bit of a hypocrite because I had an argument with somebody about this the other day about, I think Hens brought it up, the idea of if there's a problem in the game or, like, a really strong combo, should content creators make videos on them or is it irresponsible?
I remember being brought up when Thrill got buffed for a little
Mhm,
while,
mhm.
and that was very problematic. Where HOTS came up with that combo of basically interrupting actions with the biopods,
Right.
which caused some discourse because, well, oh, he's using this very fucked combo and blah 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 blah. He's a bad person, but he's covering it despite its controversy because it's in the game. You can do it. It's just absurd that you could do it.
I mean, I brought my argument was when Karn did like the slugging video, a lot of people got mad at her because they were claiming that because that video got as popular as it did and because she brought attention to it, slugging increased, and that's unhealthy.
How are we supposed to bring attention to these topics?
Well, and again, that's my argument. Is like, well, if no one talks about it, it won't get fixed. But then the argument I get in return often is, well, if no one knows about it, then it's not a problem. No.
So are we just like band-aiding like exploits that come up into the game? Like, so if no one knows about it, it's not a problem. So if no one knew about locker exploit, it wouldn't be a problem.
My argument for that, and the analogy I used was, if you have mold in your house, and it's in a spot that no one goes to. It's in a room that no one uses.
In my attic.
Yeah, they're in your attic or something, right? You can ignore it, right? You can ignore it. It's not affecting anything. But you still have mold in your house.
Like, that's not... You can't skip over the unavoidable fact of there is mold in my house, and after some time I should probably be contracting some form of mold rage, but
you know, if you didn't know it was there, it's still there. Like,
it'll eventually be found.
It's one of those things. It's like, and this is the case with Start of the Bird, and I feel it's probably going to go in through in the next 6 months. I mean, this happened with Finesse, and before I continue this, I do not think Finesse is a problem. I need to make this clear. I don't think Finesse or Dramaturgy is a problem.
I do not think Finesse or Dramaturgy is a problem. I think they're balanced in the state which they are. They can be very annoying, yes, especially on ping, but they're not uncounterable.
My point with bringing them up, though, is that no one knew how good they were until a content creator made a video about it.
Yes.
And that's not just a Dead by Daylight thing. This happens in every video game. But Dead by Daylight is really, really volatile with this stuff. It happens way more in this game than I see in any other game. And to the point where, I mean, we joke about that. People make this joke all the time. You'll see like a really like good combo in your game, like from a survivor or a killer, that you've never seen before. And then your first thought, for a lot of people I talk to.
That.
Well, no. Your first thought is, all right, who made the video on this? That is my first thought. When I saw Finesse Dramaturgy, that was immediately my thought. Okay, who did the video? And lo and behold, I think was it Hens? It was either Hens or
It was Hens.
It was Hens, yeah.
It was Dramaturgy Finesse Chemical Trap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember exactly the first round that it got used, and it got used on this poor Oni player on Ormond.
But,
blessed be his soul.
But again, like it brings it to the question for like stuff like that. It's like, again, I don't think that one's necessarily a problem, but no one would have known how good that was unless a content creator made a video about it. I can almost promise you. And that's the duality of it.
And it doesn't even necessarily need to be problematic in which, like, what is a content creator is showcasing. Like, for example, and I'll use myself in this, I have found a tech, if you want to call it, on Pyramid Head, or at least like an unintentional like bug or something. Whereas, so if you like fire with Pyramid Head normally, you will stop all movement. You fire, and then you can start moving again. It's like you get stuck to the ground with glue and tape.
Right.
But oddly enough, if you were to hug a wall while you do it, you can retain some movement, and the animation is shorter. Now, not a lot of people knew about this until I brought it up. And I also proposed the idea of what if he had this for all shots? This would make him feel a lot less clunky, even if it's not a super a ton. The fact that it didn't feel like I got glued to the floor every time I made a shot and my animation was slightly faster felt really good, especially for flicks. It appeases to the high skill floor, but also the people who are learning the killer, because I think a lot of things that basically make people stray away from Pyramid Head is he doesn't really feel good to play out of the box because I'll use my power and then I'll miss and then I'm stuck to the floor for my undetermined amount of time. It's very outdated design, but one simple change would bring it right back up.
Right. And, you know, even like stuff like I mean, I've made there's a Chucky build named after me. Yeah. It's the Silk Pillow strobe light build because I'm the one who figured it out. Made a video on it.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And again, like it's not like anything super oppressive. It's just a different build you can run on the character.
It's a fun gimmick.
Yeah, and then there's like I'm working on a video now. The video will probably be out before this one goes out, but about how good rapid brutality is on him right now.
Yes.
And it's like if I make that video and then like every Chucky you see starts running rapid brutality.
Like I get to blame you and only you. Got it.
But my question is am I to blame? Or is the fact that the perk works good on him the problem? You see what I'm saying? At what point is it the content creator's fault, and at what point is it actually just a problem with the game? Or the mechanic? Or the perk?
Or I think it more just comes down to the perks that get created have to kind of run through that test of, well, the game is ever evolving. We're getting brand new killers and like survivor methods each year, but we also have to consider how strong is one perk going to be on a killer, and will it be stronger or weaker on another. That's why we see a lot of rapid brutality on Singularity, because you realistically don't need the bloodlust on that character. You just teleport, get it, go.
Right.
Versus like another like M1 killer where you don't really have a gap closer and you're not going to get very much out of rapid brutality. But you need bloodlust to function in some areas, so why would you sacrifice that?
Yeah, and then Dead by Daylight's also a weird game. I bring this one up a lot too, so I don't know. Do you play any other like competitive games at all, other than fighting games?
I'd say not right now. No.
So in a lot of like other competitive games, right? Like metas get brought up, but oftentimes counter picks get brought up as well. So, like, in League, I'm trying to think of a good example, but, like, let's say, I'm going to name a bunch of names you don't know, if you don't play League, but let's say...
I unfortunately religiously play League. It's a mental illness
so
I can't get rid of.
Let's say Camille becomes super meta, right? Then Poppy becomes super meta because she counters Camille. Not hard counters.
Poppy's already meta just to begin with in top lane.
Yeah, but, but my point is, like... That's a counter pick. That's something like people will start playing Poppy more because she counters Camille. Dead by Daylight is weird because that doesn't ever happen. And what I mean by that is the two examples I give are Circle of Healing meta and MFT meta.
I was about to say Made for This was very, very oppressive, so much so to a point where I actually, for a while, ended up dropping Ghostface and Pig for a while because I could not bear to run against it anymore. And around that time, I wasn't using VDR, but it felt really awful to run against because my muscle memory is fried. So I just picked up Oni and slammed people. But
the thing with both of those metas though is there are two killers in the game. Circle of Healing, for example. Why didn't Plague's play rate go up at all during that? She perfectly counters it.
I think it's also due to just kind of the growing state of the game, whereas potentially around that time a lot of people really didn't consider that, and people weren't as hyper competitive because the competitive scene for this game grows every year. Maybe not super heavily, but very steadily. And we have to consider that there's going to be a lot more people that are like, oh yeah, you can run Plague into Circle of Healing. But back then, I don't really think that many people would have had that idea. They would have just decided, no, I'm going to play my favorite killer, see what happens.
I think another good example, like with AMFT that I bring up all the time, is Clown.
Yeah.
Clown didn't give a fuck about MFT. I was playing him at the time. I never had a problem with MFT.
Blight didn't have a problem with MFT. Oni sure as hell didn't.
But
especially due to the fact that, I mean, you could just run him down, hit a flick, and win.
But again, Dead by Daylight's weird because these killers, like when these metas form that these killers like perfectly counter, their play rates never go up. And I don't understand why. I legitimate, like, even on the Survivor side, like Thrill of the Hunt meta is a good example that happened a little bit ago. Now, am I saying this is good design? No, but the counter was there. There were perks that perfectly countered Thrill of the Hunt.
Absolutely.
And no one
Counterforce.
And no one was running them. Why? That's legitimately, that's just my question with this. Like, we have these counters to these things, and it brings into question, why aren't you running the counter? Because the thing is, everyone's like, the meta gets so stale, because it's like, it's the same thing over and over again for like 3 to 6 months. And then, like, when people try to bring up, like, counters for it, and here's the thing, if people, so let's say Thrill stayed the way it was. Let's say, in theory, it did. It's still not bad, by the way.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But let's say Thrill stayed the way it was. And then people started bringing Counterforce, Detective's Hunch, Small Game, blah, 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 to counter it. Well, if the killers start seeing that, then they have to take into account, okay, my Thrill build might get countered this match. So now I have to bring a build that counters the counter. And then
I immediately take off all hex perks and don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. But well, you know what I mean, though. But it's like, well, and then the survivors on their side are like, okay, well, the killer might bring a hex build this match, he might not. And I think that leads to more interesting build diversity, because now you have to account for the multiple things that are good.
Yes.
And I think that's better and healthier for the game, personally. But, like, it seems like no one wants that. And I don't know why. Because that's another problem Dead by Daylight has that most other games don't. You don't know what your opponent has.
Well, I just know that my favorite add-on in the game makes a bold assumption at what my opponent has, and it does a pretty damn good job of countering.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, Exhaustion's always, well, except for Chucky's Exhaustion add-on, but...
Yeah. I just know VDR is love, VDR is life. Fuck you, Sprint Burst. I counter it. But what is your counter in response? I don't know. You're not going to see this add-on be running another 13 games, so why are you putting on Vigil? But,
you know, it does bring up that other question with, like, a perk like Sprint Burst as well. It's like, Sprint Burst has always been good. Always. Yeah. And arguably, depending on who you ask, it's the best exhaustion perk in the game. Always has been. So the question becomes, does it need a nerf because of that, or is it fine?
I think it's fine because it has a beauty in its simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the cooldown takes a while to come up. Now, obviously, Vigil can definitely change that, and it will be changed when the brand new Vigil comes out here pretty soon, which is going to be fucking nuts, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I mean, for the amount of pressure that it relieves, the cost for it, I think, makes sense, and you get it passively based on just doing your objective. You're not moving, so you don't have to really worry about it. Plus, if you're really good, you could build it during a chase with, like, shift teching.
Or Champion of Light, like I do.
That's also true. You could just become really funny in Champion of Light someday.
Hey, Champion of Light ain't a perk. It's a play. It's a way of life. All right.
That is fair. I respect it.
You can't stalk me when there's a flashlight blinding you, can you?
No, I'm just gonna look at my feet on the floor and continue with my life.
But but circling this back to the shoulder burden thing, though, it's like, again, I think the idea of a perk that is anti-tunnel for your team, and I honestly think it's the reason we're not seeing it as much, because there's another perk no one talks about that does something kind of similar to shoulder the burden, at least not in function, but in its application.
Mm-hmm.
And that's babysitter.
Sheesh.
Babysitter is, I will say this now, slept on as fuck.
That shit is fucking crazy. I use babysitter a lot. Like, I want to say there's like 2 perks that are like grossly slept on, and that's like babysitter and lucky star.
Like,
Jesus fuck.
Like,
the amount of value.
Babysitter, it got that buff, like that massive buff, like a few patches ago, and I don't see it ever. And I think the reason why isn't because it's bad. It's because it doesn't stop you from being tunneled. It stops your teammate from being tunneled.
Which, even then, that's still very, 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 like, situational. But, I mean, that could be, like, an end game that gets won simply just by them not tunneling out the babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the person that has the buff. Because they can't catch him. Or, like, that's on the killer because they decided to go chase the person who has the haste for fucking 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wondering why they still can't catch him.
Yeah, and again, it's so strange because it's like shoulder the burden. I feel like it is like on the cusp of being perfectly fine for the game.
Mm-hmm.
The issue again, though, just comes down to, and babysitter has the same problem, and breakdown's another slept on perk that I hope never becomes
so much because it gets used in the most like dog shit ways possible.
I'm telling you guys now, listening to this, I promise you. Run breakdown. You would be surprised how useful this fucking perk is. 3 minutes of a hook not being there.
You could make your own hook dead zone in it. Aww.
Not even just that. You know, everyone brings up that point. The thing that this perk does that no one really talks about is it stops the killer's momentum. They can't just like down you and be like, okay, there's a hook right here. They actually have to like find the next hook now.
I mean, obviously, if they have agitation, then that's a totally different scenario. But if they're just like running a very basic build, no edgy at all, good luck. Especially if you have like, I don't know, like boil over, like flip flop or something like that, where you have even more wiggle process or like progress.
Yeah.
That's where you have a lot of those like boil over abusers come in and they'll like run to the top of like Eerie main.
I was playing Chaos Shuffle the other day. I actually posted a video about it. What they got. This is how lucky they got. 2 of them had boil over. 1 of them had breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand the chances of that happening, and 2, how frustrating it was to play against?
I think there was a game that I had not too long ago. It was like it was like the day that Dracula released. I had a game where there was 3 people using boil over. 1 person didn't have it. They had Circle of Healing stacked up on main building of Eerie, and I would have to basically go stamp it out, as well as them having, I'm pretty sure, Unbreakable, or the base kit Unbreakable from the Circle of Healing, and Exponential. Oh, that sucked.
Well,
that sucked really bad. I bled them all out. I realistically made the optimal move, but that sucked.
But the thing with breakdown though is like the difference between breakdown and babysitter versus shoulder the burden isn't even like, because Swifts can make those perks also extremely good, right?
Yeah.
The difference between those 2 versus shoulder the burden is that the effect it does and what it's doing for you in the game is very apparent. Mm-hmm. Like, you use shoulder the burden, right? Well, you immediately know your teammate is missing a health state now, or has another hook state. When you use babysitter and breakdown, you don't really see the effect it does.
That's also another thing when it does come to shoulder the burden and some other perks like babysitter, you will not see the effect be apparent until you like recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Because with shoulder the burden, if I'm right, they let out a scream.
Yeah, they scream.
But outside of that, what if they have like multiple of like one certain like survivor? The hook states do not change at the very bottom.
Mm-mm.
Nothing is very apparent to you. What is going on until you hopefully run into that person and hook them and realize, oh, they're on second hook now.
It should be auras. I will die on this hill. It should either be auras or killer instinct. I don't think it should be a scream.
Yeah, probably. Because the way that it functions now, it provides too little of a downside, despite the fact that the exposure is long. It's just not enough.
The funny thing
the value is.
Funny thing about it, I actually kind of like that they made it exposed, because that means there's some killers like Nurse and Blight who can't take full effect of it because of that.
That's true, but again, still it provides no downside for reasonably anyone unless they're just there.
I mean, like, I again, shoulder the burden is it's just a weird thing, because I like that it exists. I feel like there's a way to make it work where it's fine, but I don't know what it is. Like, my idea is like making an aura or killer instinct instead of a scream, make the exposed indefinite, maybe. Would that help?
I mean, I feel like it would be an interesting way if they balanced it out by like adding broken for some certain amount of time, sort of like how it would be for like a deli.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean,
I would want to make
there's been some pretty interesting shit when it comes to like shoulder the burden and delis, because there's been people who have popped like 2 delis, 3 delis in a game, as rare as that is, because of shoulder.
I would make it. I would keep it exposed and not deli or not broken, because then they could run like resilience and like iron will or something.
Well, I mean, at that point, that's still relatively not terrible to deal with, especially in like certain situations with other killers. Like, oh, well, if they're broken, then they have that Resi and Iron Will. Well, I mean, I'm still getting like blood droplets as Oni, or I'm still gonna hear something somewhere.
Well, and again though, like the other thing I like about it being exposed is that it kind of keeps Nurse in check a bit, because it obviously it affects other killers too, but like I like it. That's the thing, because if it was broken, then Nurse can still tunnel with like absolutely no fear.
I mean, to be fair, if people like Deli, I mean, excluding like anti-tunnel, Nurse would still chew through that anyways, so...
That's true. Maybe the problem's Nurse.
We're making this shocking revelation after 10 years!
That Nurse is bottlenecking the game completely? Nah, she's fine.
No, not at all. Get your mind out of the gutter and into the summer.
But, I mean, other than shoulder the burden, though, like, I still claim that... I know we've had some problems, and especially right now because holiday vacation and all that stuff, but...
The wait is long.
Did you see my tweet that blew up, by the way?
Depends on the tweet.
The one about a health chapter?
Oh, the fact that if we had a health chapter, it would be like 6 months of no content and people would still be pissed?
Yeah. Yeah. And people were like, no, they wouldn't. I would handle it. Really? Let me go through your tweets over the past week, how you're complaining that there's been no content for 2 months. Oh, would you look at that?
Listen, here, let me run this back. How long has this rift been going on for?
Almost like...
October. And it's January. All right. It's about to be over in about like a week. How you holding up about that, by the way?
The thing is, and I think people forget this, because the whole idea of an Operation Health or whatever comes from Rainbow Six Siege, because they did. Yeah. But what people forget about that, the game almost died because of it.
Because there was nothing.
There was nothing for 3 months. Nothing.
Drought.
It was
3 months in a long time is make or break for your game.
no skins, no new maps, no new characters, no balance changes.
I'd kill myself.
Nothing.
In game.
There was nothing for 3 months. It almost killed the game. It was a miracle that everyone came back. That's the thing. Do people have enough faith in Dead by Daylight for people to come back after that drought?
Yes, but that's because it's an abusive relationship.
Well, fair enough, but I mean, it's just like with 2v8, right? I don't always agree with Scott, but Scott made a video talking about one of the solutions to how we fix the queue times in 2v8. And the thing is, this solution I actually think would work, but no one would want it. And the solution is make it permanent. And we'd have to deal with the queue times for like 4 months. But no one wants to take that risk. No one wants to deal with that. And then again, with like an Operation Health, it's like, and I know I said 6 months. Realistically, it might only be 3. But even then, like I said, people are complaining now, and it's only been 2. Like,
I mean, I just know my major complaints about the last 3 months have been the rift is incredibly long. This is probably the longest rift we've ever had.
mm-hmm.
Actually, I'll add another complaint on top because I know it's probably coming. So, I'll explain this here in a sec. The Houndmaster release was really bad, and the Band-Aid fixes they applied to her with the Superior Anatomy dog before their winter break was fucking insane.
So
I'm sorry.
So here's the thing with that. So you'll notice this pattern, because this happens every year. The November release is almost always either a buggy mess or terribly balanced.
Mm-hmm.
This has happened every year for like the past 5 years. And the reason this happens is because of when the financial year ends. It ends in October. So when it ends, they're still budgeting things out during November and before that.
Yeah.
So they're kind of, and this is no hate to the devs, like the actual devs working on things, right? But they're basically like working on a skeleton crew during that November month.
Mm-hmm.
Because of this. That's why the November chapters are typically bad.
Despite like the 10 months they actually may have in advance to create the chapter, that still does not dictate the state of the game 10 months beforehand.
Mm-hmm. It's weird, and it's one of those things where like you have to like. It's why I don't give them too much shit for like the end of the year, and on top of that, like I say this a lot too. How many other game companies do you know that actually take winter breaks? Like actually give their employees,
off the top of my head,
that actually give their employees a Christmas break, like a full Christmas break. I can't think of any.
Fortnite probably.
No. Fuck no. Like behavior has been rated. I think like since their inception, one of the best companies to work for. Because they don't crunch, they give their employees their breaks. Like they do
lay off.
The layoffs. That was listen. Was it bad? Yes, I will 100% agree it was bad. But that was industry wide.
Yeah, that was an industry wide one. I couldn't help myself. Yeah. I saw the opportunity, I had to take it. Like
don't get me wrong, it is shitty, and I feel for the people who lost their jobs. But that was industry wide. It wasn't even a gaming industry problem. It was an every industry problem. People overhired. It's what happened. It's not at the fault of the people that were hired, and that was at the fault of the management for overhiring. But that's what happened.
Yeah.
Now, as for who they let go, that's not
the worst part.
But that's the thing. That is a conversation that I don't know enough about to even say, because now at that point you're like picking your favorite child.
Yeah, it's very true.
Right? Like it's like no matter who they fired, we would all be mad about it.
Yeah.
But you know, like I'm a manager at a store when I'm not doing the YouTube stuff. I've had to fire people, and it never feels good. Trust, no one likes doing it.
Not at all, no.
Most of the time, and there's exceptions, but most of the time, people don't like firing people, especially when you have to choose who you have to fire. Because that happens a lot more than I think people realize. You have to make a choice and then justify it later.
Make your choice.
But my point is, like, we do give shit to these like the behavior devs for like how slow they are with some of this stuff. But at the same time, they are one of the only gaming companies I know that has never had like a crunch scandal or like overworks their workers, gives their employees breaks, gives them their like holiday time to visit their families.
Of course.
And and you know, we've heard the stories of like what happens at Riot and Blizzard and Epic and
Activision.
And Activision and Ubisoft and all these other companies. And I feel like behavior should be commended at least a little bit on how they treat their workers, as far as we're aware, anyways.
Currently, there has been 0 scandals. They treat their associates like people.
Exactly, and it's like, but then we all bitch that they do things too slowly. that's my problem with it.
I mean, to be fair, 2 to 3 months is a pretty long time.
Well, no, it is. But the thing is, the reason we think it's so long is because, relatively speaking, compared to other companies, it's long. And the reason why it's so long is because the other companies crunch. You see? You see the problem?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like we're like, they should fix this in a week. Meanwhile, we don't realize that means like 4 people are going to be working overtime to fix this.
That and like a PTB, and that PTB's not that the update for the PTB is not going to come out for another month beyond that.
No,
and there might be bugs that are passing beyond that. Another thing, like I said, I was going to mention a while ago. So, fun fact: every single Rift this year after we got to UE5. So when we upgraded to Unreal Engine 5, the funniest part about it is that every single Rift that followed past that, there has been constant game bugs or like engine bugs that has like fucked the game up really bad. So my prediction that I'm locking in is that there's going to be bugs for this next Rift that they release out, because there's just some underlying game code when they put out a new Rift that they still haven't gotten done yet. They have to restart from 0 and then patch a shopping list of bugs again. Simply just because it is Unreal Engine 5. I'm also locking in that particularly Spirit will be receiving at least 10 more bugs.
Chucky will get another one too.
Fuck all Spirit mains in particular. I'm just kidding. I love you, David. Anyways.
I've had them on, you know that, right?
I mean, it wouldn't shock me. What do you mean you haven't had the Banivator on your chat before?
But like, I like the game, I feel, is in this weird position at the moment where it's kind of in limbo. Where I feel like in like a year's time or so, or maybe 2 years, but a year or so, it's going to legitimately be almost a completely different game in a sense.
Yeah, probably.
But we're going through the growing pains. And yeah, as someone who's been in a lot of gaming communities for a long time, I was in League of Legends when it was going through growing pains. I was in Rainbow Six Siege when it was going through growing pains. I was in Overwatch when it was still going through growing pains.
You're 0 for 3 on stinkers, by the way.
Yeah, it's almost like every popular game is kind of bad if you... I don't know. Like, that's also like a weird thing, especially with like popular games. I feel it's like I can't think of like a very popular game that people genuinely like only praise.
Let's go gambling. Oh, dang it, that's 1 game. Oh, dang it, that's 2 games. Oh, dang it, that's 3 games.
Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, League of Legends, Valorant, even Marvel Legends right now. People are loving it, but I still see like the weeds of like people who like only talk shit about it, you know? Destiny 2. I'm trying to think of another one offhand. Someone in chat said
I used to
Warframe.
play Destiny religiously,
Same. I haven't really played it in a little bit, but
and they fucked it up.
someone said Warframe, but Warframe had a bit of growing pains for a little bit there. There was like a 2-year span where like people hated the game.
There was a time in which people like fucking hated digital extremes. Specifically just for a lot of the like some of the people that were working there that were just not great people.
Mm-hmm.
There are some very interesting practices that were done at digital extremes at one point. They're very much past that now, but we had a little bit of a time with that.
But yeah, again, like a lot of games do go through these growing pains. It's just I can promise you once we're past it, like in a couple years, we're just gonna kind of look back on it, right?
I'm just gonna hope the growing pains are done in time for the Freddy chapter that's coming out.
I doubt
here pretty soon.
That's gonna be that soon.
Because listen,
here's my prediction.
We might be in here for our very second actual stealth killer. I don't know.
Here's my prediction with the FNAF chapter. If the FNAF chapter is going to do very well, and where this game goes from there is going to be determined by how many people stay.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the determining factor. It's not how many people we get in, because honestly, that doesn't really matter most of the time. It's how many people stay. Because, I mean, remember what happened with the Resident Evil chapter for Nemesis and Wesker?
It blew the fuck up.
And then, like, 90% of them left.
Yeah, after they realized that, wow, I'm really into Dead by Daylight now, but now that I understand what's going on, the gimmick is worn off.
Do you really think... well, we don't know who it is yet, but do you think Springtrap is going to be a stealth killer?
I would say so. I think it, at least in canon, to effectively everything that comes with Five Nights at Freddy's. And even then, I'm not like a super religious like Five Nights at Freddy's like fan. I just think it would be really cool if we got finally a current year rendition of an anti-chase like jump scare killer.
Well, yeah, I was talking to a friend of the channel, Unladen Crow, about it. Like a FNAF character in this game, I feel like jump scares would have to be a part of the power somehow.
It would have to be. There's no way it wouldn't be.
Yeah, and the cameras in some way, shape, or form. I mean, we got Singularity, so it's not impossible.
Yeah, we just gotta hope the bugs that potentially follow aren't awful, because it is an inevitability.
Yeah, here's hoping. I have.
I mean, like Houndmaster was pretty interesting for a while. And it's still very interesting because I'm pretty sure she still has the superior anatomy dog as we talk live in gameplay.
She does. It hasn't been adjusted yet. It should be, but yeah.
That's impressive. Are they going to adjust it in the PTB? I don't even think they did.
I just think it's funny that I think me and Pixel were talking about it and saying she basically has a pocket Chucky.
Yes, a little pocket ankle biter.
Oh, it's hilarious at the time. Both of them have the same release day, by the way, because they released her on Thursday.
Oh God.
Yeah, both of their birthdays for Dead by Daylight are November 18th. I'm sorry, November 28th. I'm sorry.
Oh wow, you're not a real true Chucky fan.
Yeah.
You got it wrong.
Yeah, I got it wrong. Yeah. And for those curious, I made posts about this. The Chucky guide got scrapped again. I am not making or working on a Chucky guide until he's not touched for 6 months, okay?
Until he's consistent, because you're having to relearn.
I can't, oh my God. People can complain about this character all they want, like, oh, he's OP, oh, he's oppressive, oh, I don't like going against him. Bro, if I have to relearn this character one more fucking time, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, I love him. I'm ride or die. I don't care if they get rid of Slice and Dice and just make him a third-person stealth killer. I really don't care if that's what they end up doing. I'll still play him. But for the love of God, just stick with something for 6 months, please. A fun fact about Chucky, by the way. Did you know he was in all but 3 patches last year?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably about the rate that Michaela got a skin per patch. Because she actually did get one effectively every single one except for maybe like 4 or 5.
I think it was 2 actually for Michaela.
That shit was nuts.
Yeah,
and I don't understand how we even got that far.
Did you change your profile picture to Michaela?
No.
You changed your profile picture changed, so you know.
We're not going to talk about it, okay?
Okay. It didn't happen. But it's
expect the unexpected. You got me on here. That's the problem.
It's just like, I mean, that's the other, because that's kind of happening with Dracula too now. I feel like he's the next one they're doing this to. Because he's been,
they really just need to fucking nuke bat form and just give us something for Hellfire. Because I mean, wolf form, that's great, but we really need something for fucking Hellfire.
It's funny because after the Chucky change, I forgot who said this, but you know how we always complain that the devs aren't listening to the community?
Yeah.
I think what's happening now, and I hate to say this, and I know people are going to call me insane for saying it, I think they're listening to the community too much now.
Either that or they're consultants.
Because what I mean by that is, like, that Hellfire change to Dracula, no one was really complaining about Hellfire that much. But the people that were really loud about it.
Yeah.
So, I think what happened is, for whatever reason, they are suddenly listening, quote-unquote, to the community, quote-unquote, more.
I think just the consultants probably bullied them enough. Either that or they themselves brought it up.
And I think the same thing happened with Chucky. I think the same thing happened with Skull Merchant. I think that's what's happening. I really do think the pendulum has swung, and they are listening to the community, but only, like, the loud ones.
So you're meaning to say that if I'm loud enough about Ghostface, I can get him changed?
Yes, if you can get enough people on your side as well.
I think I can radicalize a few people. Totally. What do they call this? Being a cult leader? Yeah, sign me the fuck up. I can do it.
Call it a religion. Cults don't get tax breaks.
Cult of EDR. I'll just approach people like Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1. Are you in or are you out?
Going back to Ghostface though, a little bit. His strength level, which is contentious the right word? I feel like contentious is the right word. His power level, like where people place him on tier lists and how strong he is, I feel like he's one of those killers. I think he's similar to Hag in this way, where he depends on who you're asking.
Yes, because again, every single Ghostface player plays him totally differently, or will have some kind of aligned set of values, but it's not going to add up entirely 100%. Me and a few other people might say, hey, yeah, we think that stealth is the best way to go about Ghostface and nothing more. Or some others are like, well, I use chase and chase only, and this works for me. Obviously, we're going to have two totally different opinions. The number one rule about Ghostface players is that they're going to admit to you that they play Ghostface. This is a public statement. You would think it would follow the canon of the character of remaining low and sneaky. No, it's I get my megaphone. Hello and good evening, everybody. It is my pleasure to bring to your attention that I, in fact, do play Ghostface, which is a very niche killer pick, and a very weak one at that. I am announcing to you that I am very good at the video game and definitely know what I'm talking about. Now, for the people that didn't hear that in the back, I play Ghostface. Keep that in mind.
It's funny, too, that you say he's niche, because the amount of people I bring on here and ask them, like, when they started playing or why they started playing, I can promise you about 80% of them all say they came into the game because of Ghostface. Like, it is insane the amount of people who started playing Dead by Daylight because Ghostface is in it.
Yep, and then they got into the chase play style and they were like,
And
I don't want to play with you anymore. They just drop it.
And it's not even just that. Yeah, the amount of people who like had a Ghostface main phase is astonishingly high. It is insane. Ask anyone. Like, you have an 80% chance, I can almost promise you, that they mained Ghostface at some point. Like, I don't know why. I legitimately don't know why. Nothing against Ghostface, but it's so weird that he is, like, the sacred timeline of Lights. Like, that's where everyone starts, and I don't know why.
This information is very baffling, so I'm going to go to Pixie's stream, and I'm going to type in chat, I'm in your walls, and then proceed to leave chat.
But where would you place Ghostface, like, power-wise? You don't have to do a tier list or anything, but, like, if you want to, like, word it better, or, like, because I know tier lists can be a little restrictive, and with a killer like him, very hard to do.
So, I think everyone generally has an okay opinion to put him low, because, I mean, that's just how it is. He's anti-chase, he's punished very easy if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he relies on snowballs to win, and he is the most basic of basic M1 killers, because he's got nothing else outside of his expose.
Mm-hmm.
And his sneaking. He's immobile, he moves the same speed no matter what. I would just have to slam him down at, like, at least if it were like in a tier ranking, like a C, or like just like C, because he's not like D tier where he's like abysmal dog shit pre-buffed Freddy. But he's like still a killer that you can very much use. It's just not going to be as easy to use over something like Wraith, where I don't have to worry about the macro game. I just kind of like tunnel guy out and win.
I think after the Freddy change is coming, I think the only D tier killer in the game is honestly Skull Merchant, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I know people shit on...
I'm so sorry.
Like, I know people shit on Trapper, but, like, honestly speaking, Trapper has a series of problems, but, like, his power still functions. Like, you know what I mean? Like Skull Merchant, like, literally doesn't work. Like,
what do you mean doesn't work? Simply just let's see what's in her kit. Hold on, let me look this up on the wiki real fast.
Hold on. God, we're not sitting here for 2 hours for you to read the paragraph that is her fucking power description.
I don't see anything posted in here by Zoe, and Zoe is pretty much the god emperor of the wiki, so this is immediately useless.
Wait, does Zoe really run the wiki?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I got some words if that's the case.
I could probably tout the lie. I could probably make that propaganda that Zoe runs the wiki, and people would fully believe it because of the mass amount of edits and additions that motherfucker has made that Trickster alone.
If anyone who does run the wiki is listening, by the way, motherfuckers, Chucky does not have a 300-degree movement in Slice and Dice. Why does it say that? He never did! Why does it say that? No, I'm not even kidding. To anyone listening, I know I'm getting mad about this because it pisses me off every time I see it. Because people will use this as an argument. I swear to you. Like, I think Smith posted a video, this is like 2 months ago, getting a scamper hit on RPD, and someone was like, well, what could she have done there? And people were like, well, she could have just turned left, and because the slice and dice can't go more than 90 degrees. And then someone like screenshotted the wiki and was like, no, it says here it can go 300 degrees. Motherfucker!
Yeah, maybe when it came the fuck out and it had flicks, but no. Unless you're like exploiting or like abusing like any of the one various bugs, no.
I'm like, motherfucker, I have like 1,000 hours on this character alone. It cannot
just go into a custom and try it out yourself, and you're gonna notice very fast, oh, that's not 300, that's a right angle.
There's a joke in my Discord for the thing Chucky players fear the most, and it's just someone holding an obtuse angle.
Things Chucky players fear the most: someone holding a paper printout of the fucking incorrect wiki. Holy shit!
God.
That's like two people's worst fears, and that's probably like Zoe and Chucky player.
Like it shouldn't make me mad, and it wouldn't. But it's been like a year.
They still haven't fixed it.
No, they have not, and I don't know why. It makes no fucking sense. Oh my god! This is why
at this point, like, I will literally go out and make videos of me finding shit myself. So it's like, hey, I tested it in this patch. Here's the de facto proof of this. If anyone knows anything else, give that information to me.
And I just you just edit fucking you just edit there's actually like a transition and everything of you just turning around.
Oh my god.
Again, it makes no sense to me. It's also like I'm gonna rant about another thing with the Chucky stuff that happens this year.
Let me interject slightly.
Mm-hmm.
What you should do is actually go to the wiki with that 300-degree turn radius and contribute to the lie. What you do is you get a GIF of like someone pulling off like the scamper bug, and them pulling off something that's way too wide, and then put that in there as proof.
I get mad at the gaslighting by gaslighting it. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, because it's automatically more funny that you contributed to it. Who contributed to this? Oh yeah, no, just a reputable Chucky player.
So also, I'm not going to name names. They know who they are, but I'm not going to name names. Someone made a video about Chucky's cooldown in, I believe it was June. It was either June or July.
That was me.
Was it you?
That was me.
Why did you make this video? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's specifically when you use slice and dice at the very, very end, it begins.
No, not that one. Not that one. That was a bug.
Oh, that was a bug?
That was a bug.
Okay. That was the one that I thought I found.
No, there was one before that where the cooldown started no matter when you did the dash.
Ew. Yeah, no, that was later down the line if I'm right, because the one that I had, you could dash anytime and it wouldn't start until you like connected a hit or missed. Whereas if you were to actually use it at the very end, when it expires, it then starts the cooldown and then power drill stacks on top.
Yeah, it's when if you're playing Chucky, there's a little sound effect that happens when you have the last second to use it. If you do it during the sound effect.
Right.
Yeah. Also, fun fact, Silk Pillow, which increases your charge time, if you used it correctly during that, you could actually shave off another second.
I think the one thing that I was doing is I actually unironically put Unrelenting onto a build to get better value out of the cooldown shave, because what I would do is I would find a sweet spot, swing, miss, and then begin slice and dice immediately on the end of the cooldown, because I would time it, and then I would vault multiple windows, chain it, get my hit, my power drill stacks, and then immediately use slice and dice after the fact. So people are like, how the fuck did you get that right after you hit me?
So there was a bug Chucky had since release. Now, I'm going to use bug in heavy quotations because
it's Chucky.
We all thought it was a feature.
Oh.
We thought it was up on purpose.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
So what it was he used to get the cooldown when the dash started.
Yeah.
So we all thought this was a feature because in our minds we were like, okay, well that encourages you to go for long range hits.
Mm-hmm.
And someone made a video covering it, and a week later it was patched.
Oh god.
And the thing is, this wasn't like unknown. Chucky players knew about it. We just didn't think it was a bug. We just thought it was a feature. That's why we didn't like bring it up to anyone. It wasn't like Scancels or like what was the dumb one he could do when like he could hold the slice and dice. You remember that?
Oh, specifically the one where like you can hold it forever.
Yeah,
it was. It's not Alchemy Chucky, but
yeah, whatever that one was. Yeah, that one like we were aware that was a bug. Like what we all wanted to gone too.
And there was like that one fucking guy who kept abusing like rat poison with it.
Oh my god!
And would like post clips about it and would rage bait people. That was the dumbest fucking thing ever for like 2 weeks. Straight up. I felt for Chucky players at that point because I was like, I mean, if you're aiming to try to get rat poison nerfed, that's cool. If you're aiming to try to get this bug nerfed, that's cool. But the fact that you use it in a public match multiple times to clip farm, well, this shit's getting ridiculous. Come on.
If sometimes it would happen to me randomly, and I would just like, no, okay, I'll just not use it real quick and then keep going. Like, if it's,
I mean, it's fucking crazy that you have to consider the fact of, oh wait, accidental Chucky bug. I better hold out real fast so I don't clip farm someone.
But speaking of bugs and playing Chucky, getting back to Ghostface a bit,
Oh my god.
do you have any tips for like new Ghostface players?
I would say so. It really. See here. What did my notes say? Perfect. Okay. So I would say when it does come to maps, you have to get very used to those very quick for its reversal and stalking and basically learning how to be a professional people watcher. I have probably 2 tips for that, specifically with look at objects and kind of notice, are there like holes in those? Is there like little grains in them? Can you see through them? Is it a window? What can you look through to look at people? Because if you have any sight of a survivor, even if you see like their pinky toe, you don't have to see the whole survivor.
Mm-hmm.
You can stalk that person. Use that to your advantage because you can get some really fucking nasty like stalks, and they won't even know you're there.
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely go into a custom game and just look at it. Look at maps and just see what you notice. Because that helped me a lot when I was getting into Ghostface and saying, "Oh, well, I didn't know you had that spot on the side of Shack," or like finding all these really interesting spots and then using them in game. Very satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
There's also videos that are put out by certain Ghostface players. Shrouded, for example. He has a like 30-minute video of going through maps and just showing off a ton of stalk spots. You could look at those and reference those, or just improv as you go. A lot of mine is just I'll use spots if I'll use the old reliable if I see it come up, but most of the time it's just improving based on, hey, do I see a survivor just walking around?
Mm-hmm.
And what gens do I have set up? That's the beauty of Ghostface. Your games are always going to be different, and you have to adapt to that because you are a stealth killer. They will not find you.
Right. And
that, and then for add-ons, I highly recommend using Victim's Detailed Routine. And this is just my personal bias. Using Victim's Detailed Routine and Wildeyes Matchbook, that gets you solidified into trying to actively ambush people rather than brute forcing a chase. Because at that point, you're losing the sight, the vision of what Ghostface is about. When you're using Victim's Detailed Routine and getting active value from it, it's going to make you think, oh, well, I need to get this close to pop this ambush off. And if they have sprint burst, then they're really fucked.
Mm-hmm.
You won't even notice that you're like forcing yourself to do that. You're just going to notice you're gradually trying to play to benefit your build at that time, which is great. That's fantastic. But I think that's all I got for new players.
Okay. And playing against Ghostface, any advice?
Playing against Ghostface. So if you are completely aware that he hasn't like stalked you at all, go tank hits for your teammates. If they have any kind of mark, it buys them time and it gets rid of your stalk progress. Because it makes the Ghostface kind of figure out, well, I gotta gamble here. Do I try to stalk this person, let him go, or do I just hit them and let them run off?
Mm-hmm.
If he runs away, reveal him. There's a tech that was actually thrown out by another good friend called Back Alley, where a knowledgeable Ghostface, if he knows a survivor is going to try to run after them to reveal, you will actually get behind cover and wait for them to walk up on you. So they're going to basically just be in hugging distance, and you have a free expose down. for their incompetence in trying to realize that you waited for them. Most ghost faces will actually just run away, get revealed, and then probably wander off somewhere. And then if he is stalking you, and it's like a lean stalk, your best bet is honestly walking up, and you have to run at him. Like if you are in like that distance where he can get a stab, run at him and run into his player model, because he can't see you anymore to get stuck on you, as well as you will reveal him at the same time. Actually, in this VOD playlist that you've got pulled up on the corn map, I actually went up against Quiet Kills, and he used that against me twice, and that prevented me from getting an exposed down on him about once, because you can't do anything about it. You can't see him, and you cannot stalk, so they get the runaway for free, and you have to take the hit. But I would say, yeah, that's probably about it for tips to play against. Just pester the fuck out of him. If you're playing in a squad, you might assign someone to be on like a Ghostface duty. It doesn't take all four of you to rush objectives against him. If you have one person making him mad that he can't get any stocks off, he can't progress his game at all.
Okay, fair enough. How familiar are you with the Scream franchise?
Very.
Okay. Good. Then I can ask this next question. So Ghostface is weird with how he was added to the game, because as many people know, he's not fully licensed. They licensed the mask, not the character.
Yes. So they created their own lore with Jed Olsen.
Right. But that being said, how well do you think he was adapted considering that?
I think it was done pretty fantastically, given his lore, the implications with all of his add-ons to connect to his lore. Very, very, very cool stuff. Because, I mean, if you're a fan of the lore at all, you'll notice a lot of just, like, little neat things about some of his, like, smaller add-ons. Mine, personally, has always been specifically the chewed pen, because in lore, Danny would get so fucking pissed off at his coworkers talking shit about like serial killers that he adored, that he actually just threw a tantrum about it, and he like autistically chews on a pen to basically calm himself while they're doing this.
It's funny. So I went to college for psychology, and you talk about serial killers quite a bit, not a lot, but like it gets brought up, and the lore reasoning behind, not fully, obviously, it's never as black and white as a lot of media portrays it, but the way they integrated like why he's a serial killer, why he enjoys killing, I think was very tastefully done.
Yes, and it very much shows too, because even from the design aspect too, where they gave him such a unique design for the realm itself, it was done incredibly well, and a lot of people very much agree with this, because he's got fan art absolutely through the roof. He's got literally a fucking U2's figure.
It's
like there is, and unfortunately there is
a lot of fan fiction about Danny.
But we're not going to talk about that.
Well, I mean, the other thing is like adapting it, because again, it's not licensed from the Scream franchise itself. It's just the mask. But what they did, and I think Pixel is the one who brought this up in the lore video for Danny, was they took the bumbling idiocy of a lot of the Scream killers, and they flipped it on its head.
They made him professional.
Yeah, he's professional. He's efficient. He usually doesn't make mistakes. He's narcissistic. Like, he thinks he's the fucking best person in the world for whatever reason. Like I said, they took that idea, because anyone who's watched the Scream movies, don't get me wrong, they have like these plans and these twists and whatever, but like, especially in the first movie, they're just a couple of dumb fucking kids.
Like, it's
like,
I mean, both me and my girlfriend are also on that same wavelength of like, They are very lovable characters, and her favorite is Stu by all means. But like, if you were to compare Stu to like Danny Johnson, that is a night and day difference. Holy shit!
You think Danny would lose his shit if he got shot, or do you?
Probably, honestly.
My mom's gonna be so pissed. That line is so good. I'm not mixing up. No, I'm not mixing up Billy and. Am
I? No, Stu is the one that gets stabbed.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh no, I was thinking Scream 5 for the shoot. Whoops. Yeah, that's when. That's when like she rips her hair out and then shoots herself with guns.
Oh yeah.
That's even that one's great, but like, and it's funny because they even like kind of incorporated the idea because Scream, for those who don't know, was supposed to be a deconstruction of like slasher movies. That's really like what kind of the goal, while still being a slasher movie. And something they did in Danny's lore that's really unique, and this is mostly in the tome, but the fact that like he admires these other killers, and it's very heavily implied that like Clown and Wraith are in those or some of those killers, and a few others. It's very heavy.
They keep the self-awareness that it comes to the adoration of anything. Because obviously the movies are very self-aware of what it's portraying and what it's doing with whichever character's admiration going towards like whatever they may be interested in, whether it be like the films or like avenging like their son or something like that. But
and then
it's an interesting degree on like their obsession.
Yeah, and again, it was like and this is the thing about stuff like this. We'll never know if it was on purpose. We'll never know if it was on purpose. Regardless if it was, though, it was still done very, very well. And I feel like without like fully, because I know a lot of people are mad that like Cindy isn't in the game, and things like that. Which there's still a chance for that, but I doubt it. But for what it was, I think this is one of the best licensed chapters they've ever done, even though it isn't.
Unironically, I feel like there's one, and this would be like an interesting one. I feel like there is one character that they would actually hit the lore out of the park on, and it's such a wild card pick because not many people really have considered this. And there have been like some concepts for it. Because I've seen there have like been 3 concepts that have been my favorite, and there's like 2 that trump above all. There is Jacket from Hotline Miami, specifically the rooster itself. At least the ego of "Do you like hurting people?" That could be implemented probably to an extreme, and I feel like that would be done very well. And specifically the fucking postal guy.
Yeah, but how about he had he does have a name. I just don't know what it is, actually.
The dude. Yeah, postal dude.
I don't know. I still want Jackie Estacado from The Darkness. Like, I know, like, I only want it now because of the new Dracula skin. Because it would make so much sense. Otherwise, like I said, like Springtrap was the last licensed killer I really wanted. If I'm honest, after that, I really don't care anymore.
I think if we're talking licenses, I think the only other one that I'm particularly wanting might be like a Saw Chapter 2. Give me the Hoffmanator.
Have you have you heard the theory about Legion and Ghostface?
No, not at all.
So there was a theory for a little bit that Legion was, so you know how Billy is supposed to be Bubba?
Yeah.
Because they didn't know they were, I mean, how would they? They didn't know they were going to get the license to Bubba.
No, but they're parallels nonetheless.
So there was a theory that Legion was supposed to be Ghostface.
If I'm right, there was literally like a leaked like trailer concept for that where Frank actually puts on the Ghostface mask like later on.
Mm-hmm. Well, because like when you think like we talked about like the subversive nature of like the Ghostface in game is he's basically the opposite of like Bill oh my god, I can't remember the name. Loomis, not Loomis. That's Halloween. Oh my god, who are the killers?
Billy and Stu.
Yeah, Billy and Stu. Okay, yeah. He's like a subversive take on them, right? But like Legion is kind of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Except just 4 of them.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's the thing. It's multiple people as one entity.
Mm-hmm.
So like I kind of like buy into it a little bit that maybe it was, and I mean they did come out right after, so maybe.
Unironically, kind of catching up with like the Legion trailer, because I know that it was kind of like misleading for their power. It would have been fucking crazy if we had like a spy-like character, where they could like disguise themselves amongst survivors. That would have been fucking nuts.
Did you play VHS?
I did not. Actually, at one point though, somewhat related to my topic, Goody made a TF2 spy like killer concept, add-ons, perks, and all. That shit was crazy as fuck.
So in VHS, before it shut down, the last killer monster. I'm sorry, legally distinct. The last monster they added was basically it was the Thing, and you could turn into the teens. And you couldn't do anything in the state. Like, you couldn't attack. Like, there was a bit of a delay if you came out of it. But it suppressed what was their terror radius in that game. And you could run, like, that game had mutations. And one of the mutations you could run you could like, mimic being injured. You could give off no grunts of pain. You could make your aura be shown when you do it. That sounds dumb, but a very popular perk in that game lets you see people's auras. So, like, that could actually trip some people up. And I think the reason that game got away with it was because of how the objective worked. And I think because of how Dead by Daylight works, I don't think it could work in a fair way.
It would be very interesting if they were to add effectively the Thing to the game.
It would. I feel like
I'd be down for some like social paranoia. Fuck yeah!
I love the idea. I just feel like they would have to limit it so much. Like, there's a delay on your attack. There's your terror radius can still be heard in some way. There's some kind of tell, right?
Even then, I feel like there would also be like some counters, effectively, kind of like how Alien has, with like the flamethrowers and whatnot. At least to help detect who is a real and who is a fake. Because I still feel like having some form of social deduction of who is who would be really fucking cool, despite the fact that you'd still have to play them kind of like Spy from TF2, where you can't attack out from a disguise. I feel like there are still some very high skill ceiling players that could make that work, even versus a Swift, potentially.
Well, I think the other problem with a character like that, and we kind of do see this a bit with Ghostface to a degree, the game might be too fast for that.
Maybe, but I think I would have to basically see it in action.
Yeah.
Because again, despite the game being fast, that doesn't mean the killers have to be outdated to that speed. They can definitely catch them up.
Yeah, and also, it's funny you bring up Legion having the disguise. The amount of times, like, an undetectable Legion will walk around a corner and I think it's my teammate.
That's why I run Unforeseen on Legion specifically. If I'm running like a non-flashy skin, I will just walk up on people. There's a couple stream clips of me where I just catch someone and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And they realize that I'm not a survivor.
It's like, bro, I thought it was Kate.
Like there are two killers in the game that can use Unforeseen probably to like the max potential, and that's like Legion and Freddy. Because they are the closest thing we have to a survivor-sized like silhouette. Yeah. So if you have this person running up, you're like, oh, well, I don't really think much about that until they get a closer look and they're like, oh, fuck, that's him.
Yeah, when they don't have the flashlight coming up in the front of their face.
Listen, if you want some real fun, give that a shot on one of those two killers. You will have a blast, especially with like fucking running Legion and trying to get frenzy stabs, it is shockingly easy because, well, they won't know that you're coming up
Run.
with the undetectable.
There's also I think it's Susie's mixtape on Legion. For those who don't know what this does, it makes it so your detection range for the killer instinct in frenzy gets increased by 20 meters. And when you're undetectable, it just makes it 20 meters. Which leads me to the question of why it's tied to their terror radius in the fucking first place, but that's a whole other topic.
All I know is I very much like Unforeseen as a perk. It's very unique. And then a friendship bracelet on Legion is fucking nuts.
It's Unforeseen is one of the few undetectable perks I actually like on Chucky. Because the terror radius it leaves on the gen covers up his laugh.
Yes.
Because I guess because of how the audio is layered, the terror radius goes above his laugh. Because he's undetectable. Like, I'm sure the way the coding looks at it is like, well, why would it matter? Because he doesn't have a terror radius when he's like this. Why would we make it louder than that?
You just made like all like 9 spirit players really mad at that statement. Oh, you can't hear the laugh, but I can hear my husk. Oh, that's fucked up.
Audio.
You wouldn't think it'd be an issue in this game, and then we have silent flashbangs and spirit audio bugs and Chucky.
I come from Rainbow Six Siege. That is a game based entirely around audio. Audio is like broken in that fucking game, so like I don't blame them. Audio is not easy. Now should flashbangs maybe be kill switch until they fix it? Probably. Yes, probably.
It's been like that since like probably like September, I think.
Can I mention how flashbang and rapid brutality have gotten probably the biggest glow ups of any perks I've ever seen?
Yeah.
These perks, when they came out, were like, they weren't bad, right? No one called them bad, but they said they weren't worth running. They didn't do anything. They weren't very good. And they have gotten almost no changes, especially Rapid literally hasn't. And somehow they have both become like, meta's the wrong word.
Like staple picks.
Yeah, especially on very specific killers. Like Rapid on Doctor is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Rapid on Clown's good. Rapid on Chucky's good. I know a Hunters player who runs it. Like,
good lord.
Well, because it's like if you're gonna take the M1, might as well get like some benefit from it.
Yeah.
You know?
You should really see machine learning on Hunters. That's funny.
That sounds terrifying.
I ran it once and that'll be a clip for me to show you later. Because you literally bring a holding add-on, so you move faster when you're holding the hatchet. You hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it, and you're still outmaneuvering the survivor. It's like that one PTB where they were going to try to buff the move speed when holding hatchet base kit.
Yeah.
It's like that.
I can't believe they ever thought that was a good idea.
But you also have undetectable, so they can't, like, as soon as they lose you on a tile, they don't know.
Skins. Goes
he has a couple.
He has a couple of them. This is the one thing Behavior kind of won with by making the licensed Fun World and not Ghostface himself.
Yes, because they have the ability to do basically whatever they want within limits, and typically Fun World's like, hey, yeah, that's pretty badass. Can we, like, merchandise that to like an outfit?
Did you know that one of the masks was used in the movies?
No. The zombie mask?
Yeah, the green one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
They're the moldy green, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the zombie one, yeah. I'm very like they must be in good like standing with Fun World because
fuck yeah.
Because like again, it's a mutually beneficial thing.
I'm pretty sure they've literally like made like always merchandised like a brand new like skin. As soon as that comes out, Fun World's like, can we make that into a Halloween costume and can we make a mask out of it? And Behavior's like, we're in the talks, yeah, and they do it. and I see a new one every single year. I guarantee you, give it a couple months, we're gonna have a kitty face one. Or either that, or we already do.
I think we do.
But literally, that shit's crazy. I think there's a lot of really cool cosmetic options for Ghostface, but definitely there's a dilemma between really cool and functional, because you have some that are like the Backwood Shroud, which it's very nice because you blend in with a lot. It's dark, but it's not like too dark or too light. The hood is wide, which may give you away, but outside of that, pretty banger. Or like the deeper version, which it glows, so you have a better chance of that giving you away because of the color contrast. I have it, but I don't use it.
Well, I mean, even,
the masks are my favorite part.
Yeah, and credit to Behavior also with the What's Up mask, because listen, they could have just added this, right? They could have just added this, and no one would have cared, right? Everyone would have been like, "Cool, good job." They found a way to make it make sense from a lore perspective.
Masquerade.
Like the fact that the What's Up mask is part of Danny's lore is fucking amazing.
I mean, the fact that we have literal charms for it too.
Like, there's a couple.
If I'm right, that one's called like Greek Tragedy.
I'm trying to think too, because like I feel like there's some companies that Behavior is just in better standing than with others, obviously, and I think
Lionsgate.
I think Fun World and Lionsgate for sure. Because I mean, Amanda just got another skin. She got the Blighted one finally.
Yeah, she got a skin in the last 2 years. That shit's pretty baller.
Like it's incredible. Like it really is. And yeah, I mean the thing is, like, Ghostface is also a decently popular character too.
Very.
So like it's not like. It's not like I mean, no hate to Hag players. I'm just saying I still don't understand how she gets as many skins as she does.
Damn, you just made Gummy mad now.
It's fine.
I mean, even though Gummy only uses like one skin and like maybe the mask and that's it.
Yeah, well,
the mask that isn't even folded down at that fact too.
Did you? I love it. I love it.
They let that shit slide.
I love it. I love it. It's so stupid.
Listen, what the fuck were they cooking? I genuinely, bro. All they had to do was bring the mask down to her face, and the Mori is still unobstructed, and it looks fucking cool.
That's not why they can't.
This shit where it's on her head, but it's not.
They can't.
What the fuck?
They can't do it because technically her face model is part of the body cosmetic.
Okay, and
it's.
That's still a separate fucking. It's a mask on her head. It's a separate object.
I love that it's just on her head. I just love it. I don't know.
Oh my god! Have you ever asked Gummy about how he feels about the mask?
No.
I'm pretty sure Gummy posted about it day one, where they were like super fucking excited that Hag is getting this mask, and then they have the crushing realization that it's on the top of her fucking forehead. All you gotta do is just send Gummy this clip, like no context at all.
It's I don't know. I kind of like how dumb it is, but I get why people don't. It's like Plague's anniversary mask. Like, I fucking love how stupid it looks.
Oh my god. So you know how we were on the talk of Danny lore and such a while ago, and how that's been like perceived by people?
Mm.
And I mentioned like the fan fiction part. I have a very loud and in all caps message from the girlfriend. Since when do you read fanfiction? God damn it. Anywho,
do you have a like if let's say optimization wasn't a thing, do you have a favorite skin for Senor Danny?
Oh shit. I'd say probably like there's like So classic is always good to run with, and Backwood Shroud is always good to run with because they're very simple, very nice. They get the job done. But if I had to pick like aesthetics, probably I'd say like there's Party Crasher, which is the all red one. It has it kind of crops the hood around the mask, which is very nice, and I just like how it looks. It's a very, very unique shroud that you don't really see very often. And the mask choice that they brought with it, the Viper one, that was pretty sick. Which it's kind of disappointing you don't see that more, but it also pairs well with the devil face.
Oh, fair enough.
That and then like the legacy outfit, which is the all silver one. That is only ever brought down by the fact that the tassels float. So, fun fact, there was that point in which after we moved to Unreal Engine 5, that the tassels actually broke. And so they didn't float, except for on like certain skins. The base skin, they floated on, but like the other skins, they didn't. So in reality, this made the all silver skin actually like possible to run because it wouldn't give away your position. They just dangle down. And so I used that for like 2 or 3 months. Then they fixed it, and then I proceeded to not touch this skin ever again.
Do you have a skin you don't like and absolutely hate on him?
I would say probably it's like either Deep Rift Backwood Shroud because the colors, it just gives you away and they're very loud. Or and this isn't like a dig at the aesthetic of it because it's very cool, but it's very functionally incompatible. The Iceborne Phantom one, that one, it's super fucking sick. I love the knife, and I love how they did it. It's super cool. The black ooze, fucking rad. But just why does he glow? Why did we make him glow? Why did we make him all white in like a very notoriously dark game where people use filters?
I run, I don't even know what cosmetics I run on him, like base, but I do run the icicle because I fucking love it.
Oh, absolutely. I run that like semi-seasonally.
It's you know, there's always that joke that an icicle is like the perfect murder weapon, and it's like, yeah, he would totally use an icicle, wouldn't he?
It's untraceable.
It's untraceable. What are they gonna do? Unmelt the ice?
I don't know. Don't lick the red snow. I don't know.
Do you have a dream skin you want for him?
I would say I would really, really, really like one where he's in business clothes. Specifically, if he's like in Jed mode and he's like needing to make a getaway, or he's like doing something purposely for a headline before he leaves town.
Let's do a business mundo where once you're exposed, like his shirt comes off.
Okay, now we're gonna attract the wrong people here. That's gonna attract the shirtless Myers crowd. we know how much this character is thirsted over. Come on now. I mean, undeniably, it would make them money.
I just think that would be funny, just to see fucking. Like he gets the mark. He just like rips his shirt off and then starts chasing you. They would be so stunned they wouldn't even move. It would be pay to win. So never mind, they can't do it.
I would still like that kind of business or like suit kind of attire for him because number one, you could still keep it dark. You could keep it lore accurate, and then it would also give us like a look at like potentially like his hair or like his face or something like that because models do exist and they can just rip it and take the mask off. There's a handful of reasons why, and plus another thing, it would be one of those skins where the tassels would not be like super obnoxious and it would be kind of like a Survivor silhouette-ish type thing. That would be fucking crazy. That's what I want.
I really want a skin that has that, like, because he's from the 90s. It's not confirmed, but he's basically from the 90s. So I would love a skin that like plays more into that, and one that kind of like I don't want to say like glorifies the 90s, but like shows that more. Because the only reason we really know that is because of the Polaroid. When he takes the picture of you in the Mori. But like I don't know. I would really love a skin that like goes more into that. But the idea of like one that's like more his day job clothes would be really cool. I actually kind of like that.
Now that I think about it, I actually unironically have a little point and shoot camera that's like kind of near what the Dead by Daylight Ghostface has, but not like close enough.
I mean, I've never seen you and Danny in the same room, so don't implicate yourself yet.
I will not criminalize myself yet. No.
Later, you can do it later.
Okay, that's fair.
Like 2 weeks after this comes out, so I have plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability, dog.
Yeah, like again though, like Ghostface is weird because there's a lot they can do with his skins, but like he's also kind of restricted a bit because of the mask, I feel.
I guess a little bit, because you have to keep to that style or else it will not work.
Right.
Although you can still, I think it's actually, no, you can kind of semi-work with it, because I mean there are things like different scream masks that exist. Like you have the MTV one for that series when that was a thing, which was like a mannequin mask.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Viper mask, which is a thing. I feel like, I mean, you have the What's Up mask. There's a ton of different like expressions and things that they can really choose to do with it.
My point is like he has to have the mask.
That's true, but I think it still contributes to his character, so I don't really think that's a bad thing.
Well, no, yeah, I'm just saying, like, I feel like because we still do get skins, obviously. I mean, I think we just got one recently. The more I think about it, it's just at a certain point they're going to run out of ways to use the mask. I feel in a good way.
Okay, because I mean, if they do that, I mean, listen, I win no matter what, because the more skins they pump into the video game, the more Ghostface masks just magically appear on my wall and a little bit of money disappears from my bank account. I don't know how it happens. So far, I'm up to 3. A wolf payday mask. A
really nice touch they could have done, but they're cowards, so they didn't. Is the bloody mask for the Prestige? He holds a pump in his hand. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. I mean, technically they have the flowing gore mask, which I guess works.
Also, his blighted skin is one of the best ones.
Yeah, that's true.
It sucks to use, but
I just wish that we could use the knife separately. Like, I link the first 2 parts of the set, but please, God, give me the fucking knife.
I played Chucky. Trust me, I know the pain.
Like, when they actually came out with that, during the time where you could actually like perform the linked outfit bug, I would actually just rip the knife away from it and then equip my own setup and then just use it, because it was just that fucking sick. Like,
because Chucky got the 1,000-degree knife, and
yeah,
I want to use that on the base cosmetic, and you just can't. You can't. You're not allowed to. It's fucking bullshit.
Simply just slice and dice and melt through survivors like butter.
I like one of the best thumbnails I've ever made uses that knife. I think
but John BHVR says no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a doll, the most malleable thing on the planet, all sets. All of them. Except the sweater, for some reason.
Boy, we sure do love it. Linked sets, don't we? Is this what Cheryl players go through on like a daily basis? They're like, unlink the sets! Is this why you ask under every single Twitter post?
I wonder if they could give Danny a Christmas sweater. That would be kind of funny.
I feel like they totally fucking could.
Well, because Chucky and Legion are the only 2 with one now, right? And Chucky getting one was a fucking, no one expected that. But it's really weird to me that we don't see more killers with him. Even I get like it would be out of character for some of them, but I still think it would be hilarious.
I'm so disappointed we didn't get like the Billy one, like a couple years back. That was like a concept. We
Mhm.
got robbed.
Like there are some killers like I feel like it would work on perfect. Like Clown. You mean to tell me Clown wouldn't work with a Christmas sweater? Come on. He would totally wear a Christmas sweater.
Yeah, though. To be fair, they did make Bro Santa. So
Yeah, that's true. What about Freddy?
he's got to be the weird mall Santa.
Freddy's literally halfway there. Just add some Christmas lights on it.
That's a pedophile.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Pedophiles shouldn't enjoy Christmas.
Oh, you're right, but I don't even know where to go from there.
Anyways, next question. Maps that I hate and maps that I love on Ghostface.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
steal. All right, let's see here. Maps that I hate and maps that I love. For maps that I absolutely hate, this comes to shock to no one. I absolutely fucking hate Eerie of Crows. It sucks. It's dog water. It's doo-doo. It's trash. It's bright, and it blinds me half to death.
Only
and
person,
even with filters, nothing fixes it.
I'm the only person who likes that map. I swear.
I probably.
It's the,
and you could stay in your solitude as being the only person.
It's the only map I can see on. Like fully.
Good filters.
I don't feel like I should have to use third-party services to see the fucking video game.
That's also true, but when I can see 95% of the video game and then I get blinded on just that one, I think I'm in a place of pain.
I'm old, so like my eyes don't work that great, so it being super bright helps me see.
Average Chucky player, only a few years away from cataracts. This makes sense.
It also, I not now, but like before his most recent change, I also thought it was Chucky's best map.
I should reach out to Gore or Smithsonian and tell them about this.
No, they know. We debated about it a few times.
I should reach out and be like, so why is this his favorite map? And can we throw rocks at him to radicalize him into not?
I like it. Now,
I'm so sorry for your loss.
I'm not a complete contrarian. Like, I hate Nostromo. I hate Toba. God,
that's fair.
Fucking Toba. Oh my god. Like, I can't focus on Toba.
Oh boy. So I absolutely hate Eerie of Crows when it comes to Ghostface because again, you just stick out like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad when it comes to actual gameplay for you. The only redeeming part being the tower, because at least at that point you can go on the second story and stalk through the holes in the railings.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point you can at least be somewhat stealthy and set things up, because you'll see probably 4 out of 7 gens. That, and then let's see. I very much hate Nostromo for the reasons of it's very open and the collision is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone who likes Nostromo.
I fucking hate
Garden of Joy, unironically, is okay on Ghostface, but it depends on how you set up the gens around the map.
Mm-hmm.
And then maps I love. Obviously, indoor maps are going to be the king for Ghostface. That's why it's run competitively. And then you have DDS for obvious reasons of good sightlines to stalk around, good gens no matter what. And then the bushes. Mm-hmm. And this is actually what makes the next 2 maps triple S tier, quadruple S tier.
If you say Macmillan, I'm going kicking you out.
I'm not going to say Macmillan. It's going to be worse. Don't worry.
Okay.
Hawkins and Swamp.
Oh, okay. No, that does make sense.
So Hawkins, obviously, it's very claustrophobic, and you have a lot of places to go through. You get to enjoy the fact that everything's so close, and you have a lot of good stock spots. And the grates that you actually walk on as a survivor, you could stalk through as Ghostface. So this means if you have driver's license and there's someone in the portal room, you can actually walk up, look at them under the grate, and then blow them up, and they're gonna wonder where the fuck is bro at. And there's multiple gens that are on grate, so I mean they can kind of reveal you through it, but most of the time you can just kind of do that and then jump them.
How do you feel about cornfield maps?
Cornfield maps are okay. I can make them work, but I prefer not to play on them. If it's like corn specifically, sure. If it's like any of the other ones, like Thompson or like Rancid Abattoir, not really. Cowshed is okay. I would say the least favorite like OG map has got to be like Gas Heaven.
I fucking hate Gas Heaven.
So obviously the shit's tough in the main building, but the fact that they made it more open and they like filled it with like random shit lying around, it makes traversal with Ghostface really bad. And then also like a majority of the gens are very Ghostface safe. So you have to really pick and choose how you're doing things, and if anything, you typically have to like tunnel someone out so you can force an intercept later and win. Because winning by like standard means is fucking dog shit.
I just hate cornfield, and I don't know if it's my eyes. I cannot see shit on that map, like at all.
That's fair. Cornfield's interesting when it comes to Ghostface because as long as you are like, I think like 2 or 3 rows away of corn away from someone, you can stalk someone on a gen and they can't reveal you.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an interesting logic when it comes to the corn that applies to bushes very well, and this is why Swamp is the triple S tier map. If you sit in a bush, you could stalk a survivor from it, but the survivor cannot reveal you unless they get into like smelling distance of you. I kid you not, it's possible, and they cannot get you out unless they run at you. Which chances are they're gonna sit there and they're gonna be like, why can't I reveal him? And they're gonna sit there for longer, and and at that point they're at 99, and then they start running away because they realize what they did. And usually I'll teabag a little bit longer so that I'll see if they'll kind of like see the absurdity of the situation and then stab them anyways. And you have those bushes everywhere on Swamp. So realistically, there's getting, in the wise words of Shrouded, getting revealed on Swamp and Hawkins is optional.
Optional?
It's optional.
Please explain.
You have the bushes everywhere that can prevent you from getting
okay.
drug out of Night Shroud. So if you're just constantly skulking around those, they have to walk up to you to counter you.
How do you feel about them? It's been 2 years now, but how do you feel about them saying they're going to rework Swamp?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, it's funny. I did one of these
Swamp rework. What do you mean, bro? I haven't heard of a thing. You believe those lies that they tell us?
I got a comment on the Xenomorph one I did with Bran a year ago. I got this comment 2 days ago. Someone was like, they timestamped and everything. They were like, Swamp still hasn't been reworked, and I was like, fuck. We talked about this a year ago, and they still haven't done it. Why?
I mean, it's just the sweet little white lie that we tell ourselves.
It's the only map. It's the only map.
It's like crossplay, or
it's like crossplay.
Cross saves, cross progression.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun one for like 3 years.
Jesus Christ! I mean, it finally came eventually.
Eventually.
I'm still convinced it was Sony is the reason why it didn't come.
Probably.
And I feel bad for Nintendo Switch players because they can't even fully swap. It moves.
That's okay. We'll just give them a Switch exclusive little item. That's okay. They'll run at like 15 frames per second. It's okay.
Yeah, I know a friend who plays on Switch. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how that's even possible. How fast is the game run and how bad does it look?
It crashes a lot. I know that.
I bet. I feel like that's like a one-way stop to like turn your Switch into a fucking jet engine. You know how like a PlayStation just starts whirring up? Yeah, you have that with the little small fans built in like the top of the device. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how hot that fucking thing is.
I use mine just for YouTube most of the time, and it's still for the fans go fucking insane. Like Doom is on it. Did you know that? Did you know Doom 2016 is on the Switch?
No, I knew the other Dooms were on it. As I got those installed up to 64, but I did not know the fucking 2016 was on it.
I have no idea. I don't own it, but
is
I have
cloud or what?
No, it's not cloud. It are just some fucking masterminds. They made it work. Now, you probably can't play it in handheld mode because your hands will catch on fire, but, it works, I guess.
Trying to beat Doom before my hands catch on fire for the Switch. It's a challenge.
I see that YouTube video next week.
Have you seen that thumbnail that's been going around where it's like playing Minecraft, trying to beat Minecraft before I die of carbon monoxide poisoning? And it's like day 0 and day 0. He's like a fucking husk. He's like a mummy.
YouTube is fucking exploding, I swear to God. How do you top that? What is better than that?
I don't know, trying to beat Minecraft before I die of cyanide poisoning. It's gonna be me like seconds later. The runtime's gonna be like 2 hours, and I'm just gonna be dead on my floor. Someone's gonna have to like pick me up like a bug.
Who's gonna make the thumbnail though? Who's gonna upload it? Gotta think these things through.
I have a Dead Man's Switch. I prepared for it.
Dead Man's Switch. It
like the Dead by Daylight perk? No.
It pre-edits the video for you somehow?
No, it just puts everything together. It doesn't even like pre-edit. It just cut 1, cut 2. There it is. I pre-played the timers for it, and it just goes. Actually, I'll live stream it. It'll upload the VOD.
Oh man. Do you have any stats on Ghostface?
Any stats?
You play on PC?
Is it like my overall stats?
Yeah, what's Ghostface track stat? Is it hits on a marked person? I would assume it's hits on a marked person.
Here, let me. I funnily enough did not go through and request my information from DVD at all whatsoever.
Oh, it didn't give you any of that, anyways.
Oh, it didn't give you that anyways?
No. Most people go to dvdinfo.com. It tracks it.
I figured as much. Yeah. I totally don't have that pulled up right now.
Yeah, because it tracks it. It's based on the achievement that's tied to the killer. Fun fact, Sadako doesn't have one. Neither does Demogorgon. And then it, because Steam keeps tracking the achievement gain even once you complete it, and that's what they use.
Yeah, actually, I'm the number 1 Ghostface in my neighborhood.
In my neighborhood.
In the words of Indigo, yeah, I'm ranked number 1 for contamination downs in my state. And I said, "God damn, bitch, you playing Plague.Inc. over there?"
When I used to play on Windows Store on PC before cross progression.
Uh-huh.
And that was something I used to say all the time. I was like, I'm the number 1 killer player on Windows Store. Because I don't know anyone else who plays on it, and no one can prove me wrong.
Number 1 killer for Switch in my house. As soon as I exit the house, I'm not the number 1 anymore. So
my status is conditional.
Oh, God. Let's see here. General stats. What do I got? No killer stats. downs, killer downs. Perfect. What do I got? Mm-mm-mm. Where is that Ghostface fella? Yes. God damn, I am at the top 0.88 of players.
What position are you on the leaderboard?
I do not know, but I'm not at the very top. That's for sure.
Okay, fair enough.
There's people that have way more than me. Like by the tens of thousands.
I'm in like the top 0.2% for Chucky's scamper hits, and I'm like 0. I think I'm like in the top like 2% or something like that, which is insane because
rank I am for Ghostface, but I don't know how I check that.
You have to scroll down to it manually. If you're not in the top
scroll down to it manually.
Yeah, if you're not in the top 100, you're probably not finding it.
Ooh.
But yeah, I mean 1,000's not too bad, all things considered. it's still a fucking lot. And,
yes.
And thank God Ghostface has an actual one that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Unlike fucking Twins. Jesus. Twins is hits while it's hitting a survivor while Victor is on them. You know, the thing that
that totally happens.
Yeah. Or Chucky's.
Yes, this totally happens. We're gonna act like it's normal.
Or Chucky's, that is land a hit after land a hit within 3 seconds of scampering.
Wait, like I forget that they changed it.
Yeah, they didn't change the achievement.
Oh god.
Yeah, you can still like get the achievement because he can still scamper. Yes,
but it's you're limited to only slice and dice now instead of like a basic hit.
That's why a lot of us.
This is interesting.
Yeah, that's why a lot of us like I don't even try to get on the leaderboard because the person at the top has like 12,000 of them from before the change. There is literally no way for me to catch up to them. It would take me years. Because I still do get scamper hits.
DVD Tricky would actually have.
Like I still get scamper hits, but nothing like all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll move on to the viewer questions. D20 on Twitter asks, there's 3 questions here. Why do you think Phillies is the end of the world?
So this was pre-nerf to it, but it was specifically because a lot of what comes with Philly, it's a brown add-on that does way too much for what it is. When it was at its 20% value, because that amount of value was fucking insane. Quite frankly, he shouldn't have had that on just that brown add-on. That's why it's a very good thing that we have half of that value on to the base kit now. As well as it basically didn't promote a lot of add-on diversity because, well, Walleye's Philly was all you needed, but the problem with that is that if you're running Walleye's Philly, you have nothing else to add on to for like effects and like extra utility for like getting those ambushes. Now it's, oh, well, I have to sacrifice both of my slots for functionality of my actual killer, which sucks. That stinks. And now I would argue that Olsen's Wallet is now the stinky pick because I don't really care about Philly anymore. You can use it, sure, but if you have like consistent leans, the best Ghostfaces don't need Philly at all. You can just ignore it entirely. Use Walleyes and some other like ambush style like add-on and get great results.
I think the thing I said earlier is it's one of those add-ons that I feel is just a feel-good one. It's similar to I'm trying to think of one for Chucky. Not now, but before his change, Power Drill wasn't that great. But yeah. A lot of people ran it just because it felt good. Next is why aren't you a Whispers addict?
Why aren't I a Whispers addict? I've actually gotten into Whispers on several other killers that aren't Ghostface. I'll sometimes use it on Ghostface just to kind of fuck around and find out. But there's something that keeps me coming back to like fucking xenomorph with whispers and triangulating someone's position out before they're even on a generator.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Whispers, I still think more people need to run Whispers. It's really good when you know how to use it.
And I mean, if anything, I actually find myself running Spies way more.
Oh, Spies is great too. I think people
holy shit! I love Spies.
I think people are starting to realize how good Spies is.
Some of the base kit, like some of the base perks that are non-DLC, are so fucking crazy.
Yeah, it'd be great if there was a Gen 1 in there. There used to be.
No.
Thanks, Stranger Things. And then you answered this a bit, but what changes would you make to Ghostface if you had to pick? If you want to reiterate.
Marked add-ons, rushed add-ons, or rushed movement add-ons. So like if they like rush a vault, fixing the detection so you don't get detected through walls.
Mm-hmm.
Fixing bots so they aren't a total fucking like slog to go against as Ghostface, and giving more information and stuff to like help out Ghostface in the macro game.
Fair enough. Kurta asks, "This is for
Fortnite."
Fortnite.
This is in reference to the absolutely iconic Afro joke of me coming into the Kurta server, specifically the VC, saying Fortnite and immediately leaving.
Okay, fair enough.
So to that, I have a counterpoint. And get ready because you're not ready for this one.
Okay.
Fortnite.
Did you leave the call? What the fuck? All right, guys. I guess we're gonna end it there.
Imagine if it ended there.
Oh my god, I never really thought about this because no one's done it yet. I don't know what to do if someone just leaves. Like, I know I can be annoying, but like I've never really considered what if someone just doesn't like me when they come in and just leave.
Yeah, fuck you, leaves. Anywho, next question.
Next question is from Code. Code asks, how much can a hitbox linger for? Is this in reference to something?
Hold on. Something's happening. I gotta let it linger.
What the fuck was that?
This is also in reference to a terrible joke.
See, this is what happens.
There was a clip of me and Code going around at one point where we were fucking around in 1v1s. I'm playing Bill and Code is playing Oni. We are at I'm pretty sure it was just kind of like a long wall. I think it was like long wall jungle gym.
Mm-hmm.
Basically what ends up happening is I'm right around this corner. Code takes this long ass swing, and at the very end of the swing, you see the Oni like recovering, and it catches me at the very end of it. And Code is like, "How the fuck did that hit?" And I'm just sitting there screaming, "I'm gonna let it linger." And the worst part is, that got adapted into when I was playing the fucking Nemesis because I got really, really, really fucking good at lingers with the tackle. I don't know how that shit's gone on for as long as it has, but the linger fucking scares me.
This is what happens when I get people who are really popular on Twitter. I get fucking all these inside jokes I don't know nothing about.
I wouldn't even call me popular on Twitter.
You're popular on the DVD's Twitter, sir.
I mean, I don't really think so. I like to think that some people like me, but I don't know.
Hey, all right, just remember, being popular doesn't mean people like you.
Oh, damn. Okay, fuck you too.
Fixed asks, I know he's a D1 chase face hater, What the fuck? Chase face. Okay, that's new. So ask him how he feels about In Fury Brutal Eruption Ghostface with Philly's drop leg.
Fixed. Sabrina Carpenter Stan. I know where you live. You may run, but you cannot hide. I am rapidly approaching. I'll see you in 2 business days.
Next question.
From City Rat, this one's not a question, but they called you their goat. So there's some self-esteem boosting for you.
Fuck yeah. I'll take it. Hell yeah.
Tom A. Hawk, who I will never get over this name. I love this fucking name. Tom A. Hawk asks, what if instead of Ghostface, it was Freaky Faces of Stalking Survivors? Okay, alright, guys. It's fucking, you know what?
Yeah, but hold on, let him. What does Freak Face do? Are we talking about the guy who like has like all 3 like feet charms or like the toe charms or like what are we talking about here?
I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Ghostface that just goes around with the toes, man. Here, I think I found the Let It Linger clip. I'm gonna enlighten you. Go to 119 on this clip here, and you'll see what I mean.
Oh shit! Hang on, I gotta move it. You said 119?
Yes, 119. I couldn't find the actual like isolated one, but it's
fuck you! Oh my god!
I'm looping the killer.
Fuck you! That hits.
I'm gonna let it linger.
No, what the fuck?
I'm gonna let it linger.
I give up. Why is Bill T-posing?
There was one that sometimes I actually had code act as my my test guinea pig in when we were like labbing stuff out. I think the last time we did something, it was for specifically like was it scratch marks, because scratch marks are really fucked up and inconsistent.
Yes, especially right now.
They said that they increased the visibility of it, but all they did is they went per map and they made them brighter, but they didn't solve the problem where there's gaps in between them and they just randomly stop.
Yeah, like when you're on an indoor map and it looks like they went left into a room and they kept going straight.
Yes, and so depending on like how often or how much you need to use those, it gets really fucked up.
Yeah, fun fact, did you know did you know that Chucky actually sees scratch marks different than the other killers?
He does?
Yeah, because his camera's lower.
Huh.
So
I thought about that.
They spawn differently.
Oh. Fun fact. But anywho, we had actually gotten a gif of Quentin T-posing, and I got it, and I put it on loop.
Are you sending this to me now?
I'm gonna try to.
While you're doing that, the last question from the Phantom Safety Pin. As a Ghostface main, what does Afro believe Ghostface really needs? Does Afro think Ghostface is actually as weak as D tier, the way that some doomsayers believe, or that he's mostly fine if in need of some light updates and fixes? What would have been done to achieve this? I think you've answered this like 3 or 4 times now, but yeah.
I'll give the general just TLDR. Light updates and fixes. Like I said, just needs that facelift on those add-ons. Needs the facelift on the detection because it is latency based, and so it can be very frustrating getting revealed through walls. And I think Ghostface needs to embrace that stealth macro play style. I mean, you can play chase, but I think we really need to just start focusing on that. Because if we can solidify that more, we can solidify a lot better players sitting there and getting good at it rather than us being so inconsistent as a community when it does come to this killer.
I think, it's funny because you bring up he's fine. He just needs like these couple little things. I'm not going to lie. I think that's the case for most of the cast.
Yeah. Like, straight up, Trapper could feel honestly so much better if they changed like 4 things.
Like... And that's the set. It's like Pyramid Head. Like, I don't think Pyramid Head needs any changes other than his add-ons. Like, even with the quote bug, or like the inconsistency of kind of being stuck when you swing, even that, like, could it be fixed? Yeah. Do I think it needs to be fixed? Not really. It's one of those things. Like with Trapper getting his rework, or not Trapper, I'm sorry, with Freddy getting his rework, Skull Merchant's rework coming soon, ish, TM, later in the year, Trickster getting reverted back. I think we're at a point where most of the cast is fine. Yes, there are some pretty bad killers, but like, I don't think they're unplayable. They might struggle, but again, I say this about a lot of things. That's just the case in every video game. There are characters who are just going to struggle.
Yeah, a lot.
Like, I mean, I mention this all the time. I bring up League of Legends with this. Like, Garen is never going to be good in like pro play.
Well, I wouldn't say that. He's been in pro play for a little while now.
Oh, recently? Okay, never mind. I take back.
Yeah, it's really bad. He's been in there because all he does is he walks up, runs people down, executes, and walks away. There was literally a pro player that like religiously like auto locked Garen and like wiped the fucking floor with like at least 2 teams.
But you know, my point though is that there's going to be these, like in Dead by Daylight, it's like Myers is, most people consider, even now, Myers is pretty bad, right? But I mean, I know Myers players. I've seen Myers players play. I've had Stocky Boy on twice. I've talked to him. I've seen his streams. Like, he doesn't lose very often. When he does lose, it's when he goes up against like a team that like is 4-man calming and like knows exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, any killer is going to struggle against that, and Myers just happens to be one that struggles a lot against that. Unfortunately, it's just how it's going to work in a game like this with different characters. Because, you know, there's some people who hate that we have stealth killers because it affects Huntress. I'm not kidding. Yeah. There's some players who don't like the fact that like Ghostface, Pig, Chucky, I'm trying to think of like other quote-unquote stealth killers that exist. Because to make these killers work, they have to put random stuff in the map for them to hide behind. And as a result, that makes playing Huntress harder. But, again, that is something that exists in other video games. Like in Valorant, there are some characters that don't work on some maps. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And there's not really much you can do with that without compensating. Unless, like, the map generation is based on the killer, and that would just sound boring as fuck to me, honestly.
Yeah, very.
Like, it's a Ghostface and it just puts random boxes all over the fucking map.
A Fortnite?
But that
Listen, unrelated. I've been playing a little bit of Fortnite recently. The girlfriend's got me on it. I'm kind of goated at zero build, and I hop on Fortnite for the first time in like several years, and as just kind of like a semi TLDR, I actually bought Alan Wake 2 on Epic because that's the only place where you can get it online.
You got the skin.
I get on to Fortnite and I get fucking jump scared by Alan Wake.
Same thing happened to me. Makes you feel better.
I get fucking jump scared and the first thing I say is, how many 90s have I cranked? How many builds have I edited? That and much more I'd wish to know in the dark place while searching for my wife.
Oh my god. How many pages have I written?
How many pronouns have I made?
Fucking... I did the same thing. I didn't even know you got a skin for buying the game, but then like a friend...
I didn't know either, and then I just see, there he is.
You get it. There's Borderlands skins you get for buying them on Epic. I didn't know that either. Like, I remember, like, I opened up the game.
Years ago.
Yeah, I like opened up the game and it was like, hey, you own Butt Stallion now. I was like, what the fuck? When did that happen? Oh. Man. Well, Afro, I think that's all the questions, unless you have anything else you want to add before we close things out.
I think I'm good to cut that off there. Good session. Jesus fuck, it's 3 hours and 44 minutes later.
Yeah,
I told you I'm the yapper.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, does it?
No, not at all.
Trust me, I mean, if you go through the playlist, anyone who's listening to this knows, there have been some that are way longer than this.
What is the longest interview you've done?
Technically, it wasn't an interview. It was me and Crow going over the whole year for Dead by Daylight. That one's 9 hours.
Jesus fuck!
We went over everything, every event, every cosmetic dropped, every patch.
God damn.
Well, because some people bring out those year reviews and like it's nothing against those videos, but like they're very broad. It's like, oh well, the Houndmaster came out. Oh, Dracula came out. No, we went in depth. We were like, this is when Buckle Up was still a thing. This was this is when they finally nerfed it.
And if you look right here, this is when I got a haircut.
And like even the events, like we talked about the For Honor event that happens. Remember that crap?
Yeah.
And then there was like the not Metallica. I just pissed so many people off saying that. The Iron Maiden collab that happened and things like that. Like we talked about all of that. But yeah, that was definitely one of the longer ones. I don't know if it's the longest offhand. I can talk a lot.
I can tell. All right. Either that or I was going to say, oh yeah, I happen to have that effect on people.
But I think on that, we're going to go ahead and end it there. If you want to tell people where they can find you again, and all that will be linked below. To everyone who watches at the end of these, you guys fucking amaze me, but I love you guys for real. Afro, if you want to tell them where they can find you.
You can find me at 3 places. 4 technically. Starting with number 1, you can find me at AfroM1 at twitter.com. Formerly X. You can find me on YouTube at AfroM1. Same thing, just with an underscore, because I guess something was taken. That, and you can find me on the planet Earth, in my house, but you have to ask politely.
Like a vampire?
To come into my house.
Like a vampire? Like, I gotta be invited in?
I mean... I guess I really could just, like, pull the shit that, like, Count Orlok did in Nosferatu, where I just, like, bring, like, the drawn carriage and just, like, float them inside. I don't know.
But unless you have anything else to add, I think we'll go ahead and end it here.
All right. I think I've got one more thing to add. All right. Yeah, that's right. It's on the top of my head. I got it now. Fortnite. Goodbye.
Hero does the quack thing, so like I was kind of expecting it. But to everyone listening on the YouTubes, I love you guys. I do, for real. Get ready for the next one. These aren't stopping anytime soon. But have a good one, everyone, and yeah, bye.